don't believe in war, then what's that gun you don't? And then you tell me over and over again, my friend, you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction. Hello, Scouty Paws. Hope you're well. Hold on, I'm just fiddling around. Don't worry at all, Scouty Paws. Good luck with whatever with that. Sorry, I'm just fiddling around. It's chill, I'm here. Hello, Butterfan. Hello, Mediocre 2. Sorry, I'm just fiddling with stuff. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to get YouTube up. Right, let's have a look. Hello, everyone. Hello, Elephant Fish. Hello, Parasitic. Hello, Marcus. Hello, Nagok. Hello, everyone who is here. Crazy. I'm just sorry. It's just told me that I can fiddle with some stuff on Twitch, and hopefully I can get myself up to 1080p and how to stream in higher qualities. I think I might be able to get my Twitch up to 1080p, which would be nice. I don't know, but we'll see. Because it's at 720 now. Oh, you're kidding. Does that mean I made partner? I assume it doesn't. I assume I'm not allowed to be partner. Hold on, sorry guys. I'll be with you in a second. I'm just fiddling about. I'm your wicked Uncle Ernie. Fiddle about. BBC running a story that people in the DPRK can't listen to K-pop as Kim Jong-un is the only idol they're allowed to have. I don't know. Wait, why is there emergency power? What's going on in Japan? I saw some people posting about that yesterday. Like about something to do with financial related stuff. Takaichi. If you want to know something that's closer to World War One again, sorry, the World War Two, Japanese politicians being assassinated, except they used to just assassinated with samurai swords and shit, and also rearmament. Japan's rearming, isn't it? But no, I haven't seen that. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad to hear if you're happy to be out of Japan. Wicked Uncle Ernie. It's a song by The Who. It's actually quite a weird song. It's like a pedo song. Japan passes legislation banning violation of national flag. What does that even mean? Who fucking knows? I've gone on Wordle Unlimited. We'll do the Wordle real quick. Is there anything Japan themed that isn't sushi? Because sushi feels like a terrible guest. Fuck it. We'll do sushi. Great. Oh. Ghast. No. Wait, I think it's probably ETH. I recorded my YouTube video today, by the way, guys. Do you think banning K-pop is good PR? After using it twice in the first letter. Oh shit, I didn't even clock that. That was really dumb. You always start Wordle with about, you know this. Yeah, but Wordle's not very fun. If I could start every game of Wordle. Wait, I'll show you what I could do. Hold on. Let me pull this up on incognito. Okay. Hold on. There's your Wordle. Hold on, let me just get this up. Wordle. Oh my god, fucking hell. Give me a second. Oh, fuck off. Okay, right. I'll start every time with Ouija. Okay, right. This makes it a lot easier. No, wait. We know there's a H. So it's T E Theon Theos Theo. Oh, so it doesn't have an E. Damn. But it makes it a lot easier. The thing with Wordle is you can just start it with an easy letter. Ouija gives you all of the fucking vowels, basically, apart from E. Or you can just start with crane, and then you get the best, because it's generally the positions that those are in, plus 2 vowels that are really commonly used. So every now and again, it's nice to start with something terrible. So that's why I'm starting with something dog shit. You should try Redactyl. I've forgotten what Redactyl is. We played a bit of those games for a while, but I don't know. I don't stream long enough. I didn't touch on the Falkland stuff. I haven't. I don't even know what Theor means. That is really confusing me, though, because I was so sure. I was so sure it was going to be that. What do we have on the other one? I don't even remember at this point. Hold on. So the other one we had those. So we know it has an O. And we know it doesn't start with TH. So it's probably O something TH. Ortho? Oh, so my god. Tooth? Booth? Oh, wait, it's Booth. Is it? Yeah. God, that is actually a sucky one. That's really not a fun one. Don't like that one. It's a bad one. My Wordle skills aren't fantastic. Is the one where you uncover a Wikipedia page. Redactyl. Redactyl is the one where you... This looks really long. Okay. Wild. Scale. Cloth. I don't know. North. South. It sounds like it might have direction. Okay, that wasn't helpful. God, this seems sucky. What? In 10, 11, 11. Country? No. County? Epstein? No. Israel? Palestine? Football? What are you meant to do? What are you meant to do this? Damn, I don't really understand this. Breakfast? Great idea. So am I meant to read this to find something out? Oh, hint. Engineering. In electrical engineering, a current, light bulb, lamp, wire, copper. Where are these even going? In electrical engineering, that something electrical from electrical something 7. Oh Christ, fucking hell. Jesus. What the hell is this? You write words in the article. Electrical engineer. Electrical. Wait, did I wait? Because that's already gone through. Electricity. Wow. Power. Current electric. In electrical engineering, that is a something. High. Ooh. You're right. Low. High or low. Voltage. That's great. AC. DC. Negative. Minus. Positive. Okay. In electrical engineering, a something is a something that electrical from electrical carries. Carry. Is carry not one? Let's hope you could select a topic you're more interested in. History or geography. Oh, interesting. Maybe this is good. Frequency? No, that was good. What do you think it is? You need to be a boffin for this shite. I know. I'm struggling a lot. Frequency. How do you do it? Do you at higher frequencies the poles? Yeah, maybe you're right. Magnets. What? Tungsten. Gold. Drill. Screwdriver. Pliers. Wavelength might be it, but that's more of a sound thing, isn't it? Ground. I think you might be right about ground. God, this is actually hard as fuck. In electrical engineering, a something is a... I'm just looking up the answer. In electrical engineering, a... Fucking hell. Jesus. Student. Theory. Physics. Chemistry. Science. School. University. College. Fire. Burn. Water. Fuse. Jesus Christ, how am I meant to get this? Ground, fuse, wavelength. Is this game teaching you how to read the Epstein files? We've already had wire, I think. It shows you how long we've been going for. The best ones we got were high in power and low. Voltage also did quite well. At higher frequencies, are there any complete sentences I have right now? For use at power or energy? Have I tried energy? Electrical energy from transistor. That might be a good one. No. Parasitic. Short. Parasitic was actually in here. The power. We already had power. Resistance. Resistance is a good one. Hamas maybe next. Hamas is surprisingly not in there. Oh my god. Electrical energy. Amps. Guitar. We already did low or high. Transformer. Shout out to my... Oh, that's the word. Fuck. In electrical... oh my god. Congratulate... Transformer. Whoever just said transformer. Wow. Did you look that up or did you know the answer or something? So wait, I can choose a new game. Mode. History. Well, I'll stick on a history one and see how I can get it. Egypt. Rome, Romans, Persian, Europe, Asia, China, the Mongolia, century, powerful, weak, strong, gold, money, rich, poor, strong. No, wait, I did that already. Army, armies, navy, war, battles. Oh. The wars were between... It's 4 letters. Transformers, Hamas, Israel, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Islam, church, state, Italy. Oh, that was good. Rome, Naples, violent, violence, torture, killing, kill, fire, flame. Could it just be year numbers? Yeah, I think it is years. Oh, wait. No, it's something wars. United States, South America, America. Wait, so we've tried most of the continents. Pasta. So what? The Naples appeared a lot. Oh god, it's Italian wars. Ah, fuck. The Italian wars. I've never even heard of their existence. Okay, we'll do the connection. Sorry, I've been faffing around on that game for a while. I should have tried pizza. I need some water. Hold on. You can have some water pouring ASMR. What the hell are you talking about? I'm just typing words at this point. Oh. I also really like this bottle because when I first open it, this comes out and it always drips on my legs and it's nice and cold, so it cools me down, which is certainly a nice feeling. Oh, it's dripping everywhere now, though. That's not so nice. What can you do? That is some proper water drinking ASMR. We got glugging. We got everything. That game sucks. Yeah, it's not so good on stream. I do actually enjoy it, though, but I appreciate that's not for streaming. Also, I am going to see if I can... Am I a partner on Twitch now? Did I make it? I'm assuming not. Yeah, I can't become a partner, though. Yeah, I'm not becoming a partner. They aren't allowing it. Stream 25 unique days. 25 days out of 30 is fucking insane. Bathtub stream when? Never. Oh, no, sorry. No, I drank too much water. Yeah, culture, travel, opinion. You're right. New, like, things in a oh, no. Okay. Tart. Double dribble. Fouls in sports. Oh, wait, are these basketball things? Can someone tell me if these are basketball things? Carry. Are these words in basketball that will get you in trouble? Oh, hello. Goaltend. Yeah, maybe you're right about that. I don't know what goaltend is, but I knew they were like violations in sports. Don't call me a tart. What can I say? I'm getting really into misogyny in my old age. Sorry about that one, guys. I really like referring to ladies as tarts now. So that's what I'm going to be doing every time a lady who I disagree with appears on the screen. I'm going to be like, she's a right tart. It's really what I'm going to be doing. In case you couldn't tell, that was a joke, and I do not plan on doing that regularly. Maybe occasionally if someone is really annoying me, but only kidding. Okay. Score. View, opinion, mind, attitude, like belief. I wouldn't have got belief, but I knew what it was. Okay, Chris, we support you. Thank you. I'm just engaged in a new endeavor. Culture. Lives, culture, health, quiz. Sections of a newspaper. No. Time, score. Tart. Can we get Richard Key? Who are these people? Who is Richard Keys? Are they like famous misogynists? Oh, wait, I know who Richard Keys is. Oh my God, didn't he marry his like daughter's friend or something? Keys was heard to make a racially motivated comment about footballer David Johnson. Interesting. He seems like not a great guy. It's not culture, opinion, health quiz, apparently. Lives. Time, lives, score, health. Things tracked in video games. I thought it was going to be like trackable things, but I couldn't work out what it was, so thank you for that. Words after pop. Pop fly. What's a pop fly? Pop tart, pop culture, pop fly. I've never heard the term pop fly. Is it some kind of beast? Like this one here. As you can see, there's a beast on my screen. Some kind of beastly creature, which no one knows what it is. It's some kind of fake creature. Aren't culture, health? Yeah, they probably are, but they don't allow that. Now I know Chris is in a monologue whenever he sees me yapping in the mod chat. Yep, I'm getting really into bigotry. I'm such a nerd. Yep, you are. God, the Iran war stuff is actually fucking crazy. We'll get into that in a second. This is a news story I haven't seen anybody else talk about apart from one Israeli outlet. This is true, by the way, it seems. I'll actually check if anywhere else is. Oh my God, yeah. This is actually true. The Scottish National's reporting it. Oh, and the Telegraph reported it. This is actually true. So they're going to build a prison encircled by crocodiles in Israel. A quick story about the current Israeli government. Israel's far-right minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, has been pushing a plan to keep crocodiles at the Ketziot prison where Hamas prisoners are held. Needless to say, against all professional opinion. What professional opinion? The Israel Nature and Parks Authority is opposed to the plan. So Environment Minister Idit Silman changed the regulations. Under the new rules, the Nile crocodile is classified as a managed wild animal that may be kept by a prison body, paving the way for crocodiles to be transferred to the prison. All this while Israel's prison and police services are in deep crisis and violent crime is continuing to rise. So that's an interesting one. That's very Florida detention coded. Yep. I mean, I don't know. I've not seen Ben-Gvir talk about this, but I have seen some outlets are reporting this. So this is true. That is actually just crazy. Of course the Israelis are cooking up something the Americans did first. Although I will say, the Israelis don't really come up with much original. Ever. Especially not the food. So I saw there was some article that was like, hummus was an Arab food until 1948. There's literally, you can watch it on YouTube if you want. It's called Forget Baghdad by Ella Shohat. Well, no, it's not by her, sorry. I always get that wrong. Ella Shohat. But if you search the combination of those things, you'll find it. You can probably find the full documentary. In fact, I'll see if I can watch it. I don't know if it's copyrighted. Hold on. Oh, it's in Arabic. You can't find it. They're talking about eggs and the Ella Shohat's like, I used to bring eggs to school, and the other kids used to be like, they're disgusting and you smell, because she brought eggs to school, like some egg dish that was.
يعني هذا مفاهيم ولا
بس أنا ما جبت أنا.
But yeah, you can watch it. It's called Forget Baghdad. The fact that Ben Gvir is an Arab is he's not even Arab, he's Kurdish. Well, he's Kurdish and Arab, I think, but yeah. You don't really consider that. It's the first time, like, previously they were Arab and Jewish, and that's kind of the thing that some of the people write about. It's the problem with how things end up as debate on the fucking, like, YouTube sphere. The thing about the concept of like Arab Jewish people is they did always exist, but then they were made to choose between being Arab and Jewish by the state of Israel. And one might say the like expulsion helped in that as well, but Israel obviously played the biggest role in cultivating the situation of creating that. Yeah, I did see. I'm pretty sure Israel's going to invade Gaza again, or like launch it. It's all well. I mean, they're already invading Gaza. I'm pretty sure Israel's going to launch like a large-scale operation in Gaza again, and the justification will be Hamas isn't disarming. I'm pretty sure they're going to do that. I think that they're. In fact, I'm pretty confident that's what's going to happen. And yeah, I saw the video on Twitter of I saw that video on Twitter, the bombing of parts of Gaza. Israel has just carried out. Yeah, I mean they killed 24 people yesterday. It probably went up. I didn't check the final number, but it was at least 24 killed in Gaza yesterday, which is kind of crazy because in Iran they've killed 50 after a week of strikes. And the amount of strikes that they're carrying out in Gaza, they just kill way more people because there's just killing and killing and killing.
La Boo.
Oh, Grandma Caprio, thank you for the $5. Thank you for supporting the channel. Always appreciated. Reddit recently suggested r/hummus on my feed. As to be expected, it's all Zionist Israelis. Yeah, I was looking up because I was listening to this moron talking about the Nakba, and I was looking at oh no, wait, historians. I had like an Ask Historians thing. I'm sure it's this one. It's like some long response that just gives an actual account of the Nakba. And all of the responses to it in this Reddit I saw were just Israelis going, actually, this is way too pro-Arab. And it was like the hard history removed from the wider context of what it was, and you know, it still favored the Palestinians because, of course, it was just the actual account of what happened in the Nakba, which was obviously Palestinians were mass ethnically cleansed. And I just saw these two Zionists being like, actually, this is so untrue. This is unbelievable. I can't believe you are saying this. This is anti-Semitic and horrible and too pro-Palestine. But yeah, good to see you, Exit. But the strikes on Gaza have been going up. I'm sure you've seen the Knesset is dissolving, I'm pretty sure. And so they're going to ramp up the attacks. So mark my words, that's what will happen. It's also probably because Israel's not going to be involved in this. I don't think Israel will be involved in this Iran escalation unless Trump decides they are, because Iran is not going to attack Israel because it's fucking pointless. Good day. Hello. I also need more water. It shows you how hot and thirsty I am. HOTTOGO. Let me just get a drink. Were the two Zionists, Ethan and Healer? They could be. Oh, also, I was going through my old streams and I was like, God, I did used to talk about Ethan a lot. I won't be talking about him, you know, because I'm not, as I've mentioned, like I'm always happy to talk about Ethan when it's the lawsuits and stuff like that, and you know, Palestine related stuff. But like everything he does, I saw that Harley Morenstein was just doing some like Zionist propaganda about like why it's not genocide, which is, you know, an odd decision. If you're someone who believes there's a genocide going on, as Ethan actually maintains he does, surely you would feel outraged that someone you employed wished to cast doubt on that thing, to cast doubt on genocide, which, you know, yeah, it's just outrageous. But one of the other things that was going on is I'm really enjoying this arc of Ethan Klein refusing to talk about the lawsuits. Is so funny. I'm not going to do like a long segment on it or review what he's saying, but I'm sorry, it's amazing. I really, really love this. That he's like just lost these lawsuits, that all of him and his like pathetic little groupies were just clapping and going, "Oh my god, Ethan, well done for suing someone who doesn't have the money to fight you. Well done on tanking your career. We love you. Thanks for being the only reason anyone knows who we are." And yeah, like, you just kind of watch him and he just now refuses to talk about it because he got absolutely owned in the court of law. So yeah, I just thought that was a funny thing. That was a brilliant thing. Hello, everyone. Also, that color shirt suits you, man. Thank you very much. Please pay me a link on others that need assistance. Okay, cool. We'll be on the 27th. Yeah, I'll probably live stream on the day of the... Israeli elections, even if I'm in Canada. I'll probably be in Canada at that date, but yeah. I'll be doing that. It's currently on a 50 stream watch streak. Jesus Christ, Hexo. Thank you so much for 50 streams. Well, the Denims one is over forever. But yeah, don't worry. I'm not going to... Unless there's like an Ethan thing talking about Palestine where there's something worth being like, oh, here's something he said. Fuck that. It's like the point of my recent video was not just to say, oh, look, Ethan has bad opinions. It was to talk about something. It's like my clavicular video. It's not really about clavicular going to Israel. It's why he's a perfect propagandist. And I think it's pretty good. I recorded it all today. I did it really quick, though, which was quite impressive. W Denims, W Noah. Yeah, I can't believe that happened, to be honest. Good for him. I've chatted to him a tiny bit, and I'm hoping he's doing very well. There are a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about. Oh, have any of you seen this? Zoran Mamdani told the New York Times that he's still considering and has not abandoned his plan to detain the Israeli Prime Minister during the UN General Assembly, but only will act within his, I assume it means his jurisdiction. In fact, I'll pull up a better article because Ynet is trying to get me to click on their dogshit website, which will send my computer into fucking overdrive.
I have in common with leaders of those. I think it can become the party of human rights.
Last question.
Okay, here we go. I just want to say, I'll believe it when I see it, okay? I'm not just saying that Mamdani's going to do this.
Last question on this topic. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is perhaps planning to visit New York for the UN General Assembly. You pledged during your campaign and after you won to order his arrest to comply with the International Criminal Court warrant.
Am I a Castro fan? Which Castro? Raul? I don't really know much about Raul, but what, Fidel Castro? I mean, yeah, like, he got up and spat in the face of Western imperialism and also, you know, the whole context of, like, Cuba somehow being this tiny little island that has managed to survive for so long. It's you know, it's a story of success.
What will happen if he comes in September?
Look, I believe that Prime Minister Netanyahu belongs in The Hague. He's a war criminal who has been charged by the International Criminal Court. And what you will find is that is an opinion that is held by many purely because of what his actions have wrought over these last many years. I've also said that I will follow the laws that we have here in New York City because I believe that there's an importance in following the law as a leader who presides over our city, and that's something that I plan to do.
Meaning? I'm sorry, I don't understand what that means.
Meaning that whatever the law allows me to do in New York City, that's what we will do, but we won't be writing our own laws to that end.
What does the law?
I think he should be writing his own laws in the context of that. I think he should write his own laws. If he does do that, though, I will, even if it's symbolic in the sense of, like, you know, I think there's this wider point of how people like Bernie have tried to escape this whole thing of being like, well, you know, it's just Netanyahu. If he really does do it, I'll be impressed, but I will believe it when I see it.
I'll allow you to do.
That's an active conversation with our legal department in seeing what the prospects are we have here in our municipality. However, what we've seen at the national level is a desire sometimes to write your own laws, to go outside of the bounds of legality. That's not something we have an interest in.
I mean, normally when people come to a UN General Assembly, they're granted a sort of amnesty because it is the seat of the United Nations. Is that what you're thinking that you'll honor, or you're actively looking to see if...
If he was in the UK, imagine if he was in the UK just doing a citizen's arrest.
You can actually arrest him.
I think we are looking at all of our legal obligations, and one of them is with regards to the United Nations. But the other part of this is we're not talking about a personal assessment of Benjamin Netanyahu. We're talking about the International Criminal Court and the fact that they have a warrant out for this prime minister's arrest. And I think it's important to talk about the weight that that has as a charge, and also that as the mayor of New York City, I'll be following the laws of New York City.
Okay.
Sorry, I am just I don't understand like how certain YouTube channels have as many subscribers as they do. Actually fucking crazy. I'm looking at one here that only has one video above 100,000 views, yet has 50,000 subscribers. Weird one. Weird one. He's a genocidal war criminal with an ICC, but I'll only follow the law. Yep, I know. That's the tough thing. If he does it, great. But if he doesn't, I won't be best pleased. Yeah, citizen's arrest. If he was in the UK, Mamdani must take matters into his own hands and and do a citizen's arrest. Ways to justify their actions to themselves. Chat, when I lie about stuff, that thing fucks with me when I'm sleeping. How do people like the big Yahoo sleep at night? I don't think Netanyahu cares. I think Netanyahu's entire life is based on a lie. I know, right? Why not write new laws? Exactly. UN property, also his police. Yeah, if he arrests her, Jessica Tish will probably engage in like a Rambo-style mission to save Benjamin Netanyahu, or like a Taken-style thing of just Jessica Tish just mass murdering NYPD officers to basically save the core victim, Benjamin Netanyahu. Oh, holy shit. By the way, once again, I cannot reiterate this enough. I was asking people I know, like, what they're hearing about the Iran war, because I don't know if everyone's been following it as closely, and I've kind of tailed off in following it from, like, its peak, you know, but I think one of the things that I'm saying about, one of the things I feel right now is the Iran war is at the worst moment it's been of the whole time by far. It's just unbelievable, the point that it's reached. Before we get into it, I think we've got to hear the news from General Jack Keane. This is a mirage. By the way, 13 US troops have now been wounded in the Middle East. It seems that what the Iranians, by the way, major change. The Iranians are going incredibly hard on Jordan, probably because the US has moved shit westward, and you can hit American shit. And also, the Jordanians are always shooting down missiles that are going towards Israel. So...
President Trump in recent days on his Iran strategy. We're going to take a look at the situation all across the Middle East. The AP at this hour writes it this way. The United States expanding its attacks against Iran early Friday by hitting more bridges and energy sites, collapsing a tower at a key Iranian port, backing up President Donald Trump's threats to target infrastructure to pressure Tehran to ease its chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz.
One of my favorite features is there was some New Yorker article talking about this. There is no strategy, by the way, at this point. Nothing at all. This is just disastrous, and that's just all it's going to keep on being.
The U.S. saying that Iran doesn't have that chokehold. Iran says it does. We've been having this back and forth for weeks. Let's bring in Fox News senior strategic analyst, retired General Jack Keane. General, great to see you.
Yeah, great seeing you.
You know, the U.S. clearly has spent 7 days really targeting sites in and around the Strait of Hormuz and also command and control for IRGC.
Yeah, very much so. Well, first of all,
Why are you listening to some guy? I'm just looking up who John Jack Keane is. I assume is this the same guy? I can't even tell. Is this the same guy? I mean, it looks like it would be him. This is a guy called Jack Keane, who's a US general and looks kind of aged, but he looks bizarre now because they've got so much makeup on him. Like, he's genuinely caked in it. It's actually insane. I'm just looking what he was. So he was the Vice Chief of Staff from the US Army between 1999 and 2003. So so he was right before the invasion of Iraq. Yeah, I assume he was not involved in the invasion of Iraq. He was involved in the Somali Civil War, Vietnam, Operation Uphold Democracy in Haiti, Bosnian War, Kosovan War. So those are his things. He's not been involved in a lot of great wars.
it's obvious President Trump gave these guys about as much rope as you possibly could give them. When you consider we went to a ceasefire back on April the 8th, and we actually had a document that two presidents signed, the MOU, and the only agreement in the MOU, Brett, was the Straits. Everything else was a promise to come. And within days, they literally began to attack and take control of the Straits.
There was also a pretty big promise that I think these guys might have forgot about that involved Lebanon that was literally just manipulated and changed.
Straits of Hormuz. So the president's decision, I've had it.
Well, the thing is you're only allowed to appear on Fox News if you've got a nice pin loving Israel.
We're going to forcibly take control of the Straits is the right call. And we did this with Project Freedom, remember? On May the 4th, we did the same thing. And on the 36th hour, we stopped it after the Saudis took our airspace and air base away from us using it and said the operation was not.
Sorry, my internet's a little laggy. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to move my... If you want to see my setup for how I'm recording YouTube videos at the moment, I got these fucking books that I rest my microphone on. So let me just move a table. Hold on. I need to go put my Wi-Fi back on the table. Oh! Kuwait Chatter on Disc said Iran hit a military training center a few minutes ago. That had already been reported already, so they may have just hit it again. That was a double chair stream.
Going to succeed. So we're back at it again. The plan then was for about 2 weeks to conduct this operation, as you indicated.
I mean, what do you think this guy actually looks like without all the makeup on? I assume he just looks... Yeah, I mean, he's at Fordham University. That's what this guy actually looked like in 2017. So one can only imagine what this gentleman is looking like these days.
We're around the 7th day of it, so we have 4 or 5 more days to go in the minds of the Central Command Commander, Admiral Cooper, who reports to Secretary Hegseth and the President regularly. And they're rightfully they're stopping their ability to interfere in the Straits with all of what that means.
I can't believe that this is real. I genuinely cannot believe that this is real in terms of media that people consume. The thing is there's Fox, compared to everyone else, pumps out way more content about this kind of stuff, about you know, what's going on in the MENA region. But yeah, like I really just like, yeah, here you go. Like, look how much they're getting out versus somewhere else. Like, so much about the Middle East, about the MENA is crazy. About what's happening in Iran. Oh, fucking hell. My internet sucks these days. I don't know what's going on again.
They're attacking their capability to retaliate, because what Iran is going to do is not just interfere at the Straits, they want to widen the war by attacking.
Who watches shit like this? A lot of Americans. A lot of Americans.
Gulf oil bases Gulf oil civilian infrastructure, U.S. bases. Also, as you can see, try to get the Houthis involved in this, all to put pressure on the United States. So we have to take away their retaliation capability. So that's a major effort that's going on, ballistic missile storage.
Where do you see that capability, though, tonight? I mean, where is Iran tonight? We know the Navy is underwater. We know that the Air Force is done. But the missile, the ability to fire missiles, how many they have left, what is their capability?
Well, when we stopped the war, they had somewhere in excess of 1,000 ballistic missiles, maybe north of 1,500, about 150 or so launch.
What is going on with my fucking internet? Jesus fucking Christ. Hold on, let me close Twitch. That might help. What is going on these days with this dumbass internet? Sucky.
Is what they had.
Also, I don't think any of that is true, that they had 1,500 missiles left. And if they did, that would still be a major fucking issue if they had 1,500 when they fire about 10 a day and it causes this amount of damage. What, how many more days is that? What, 150 more days if they're never able to make another missile?
Launchers are key. If you eliminate the launchers, you eliminate the whole enterprise.
And they dug
Also, by the way, once again, this stuff about launchers was provably wrong.
some of those out.
And yeah, for our audience to understand, we rubbled the entrances to the
Oh
tunnels.
my
We
god.
couldn't penetrate to get to the missiles, so we rubbled them. They've excavated. They've taken some of those out. We're rubbling that again and taking down the missiles. The other thing that's in the plan, and you referenced it here in the introduction, is we can put more pressure on the Iranians by going after their national infrastructure. Some of that was discussed right here. And
Yeah, I saw someone point this out about Lindsey Graham, which is like, Lindsey Graham's entire political program was just disaster after disaster. It was just calling for every war ever. And none of them fucking worked. And yet people treat him like he was, you know, this group of people want to treat him like he's amazing, that he achieved something in his life. What did he achieve apart from just killing people and destabilizing countries? And the FDD is just the same shit. FDD, find a war, the FDD will support it, except if it's someone trying to fight against the US. They only support mass killing of, mass killing.
that's power plants, it's energy sources, it's airports.
God, I also, sorry, this is just off topic, but I really, really hate how manipulated media is these days. Every platform is manipulated in this way to push right-wing fucking slop. Like, why am I getting an Emirati propagandist? I've had 2 of them on my feed after not having any of them for ages. Emirati specifically. Don't think I've searched UAE, we'll see. But this is big. The IRGC is living through its worst days yet. The funny thing is no, it's not. These things have consequences for average Iranians. Pretty evident that the might is not working against specifically the IRGC, the Islamic Republic's militant wing. It doesn't work. You have failed. Either change tact and try something different, or give up. Give up or do diplomacy. Those are your 2 options.
It's ports.
And yes, Iran definitely have used them. Hypersonic missiles, I believe. The major problem is Iran basically dug really deep missile cities and bases to hold huge amounts of missiles in. So the whole thing is that, you know, what do? I'm sorry for your that part of your job is to be on Twitter with these freaks. Lindsay wins died the most pathetic death award. Well, just, yeah, the things he achieved in his life was just advocating for wars after wars.
You want to also isolate Iran.
Why is my internet doing this these days? I'm going to have to restart it again. Such an issue.
Completely from the countries that surround it, that they're trading with and getting things out and getting things in, because so much is being denied from them at sea. So there's a lot of things that can be done here to bend them to our will.
White House Press Secretary back at the podium, Caroline Leavitt, about diplomacy. Take a listen.
Also, sorry, just something to note about this. Like, when you listen to these people, okay, talking about this, about diplomacy, about how the war is going, is there ever a moment of just solemn reflection on, we lick Trump's ass, but Trump has literally said that this war has been won and is over millions of times, that this guy just says over and over again, we won the war has been won, Iran has no military, has no ability to attack this, has no ability to do that, has no ability to do anything, and then Iran does have the ability to do that. Is there any moment of reflection on these shows ever to just say, hang on a second, it seems like we're being lied to? But then I guess their whole business model is lying to their audience.
Iran very much continues to talk to the United States of America and express that they want to make a deal with us because they are suffering devastating blows on behalf of our United States military.
I hear that from the White House press secretary. I hear it from the president that Iran wants to make a deal. Is diplomacy in this environment where you have two sides, one that's talking to us and Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, and one that's firing and pushing the buttons on the ground, is it possible even in that dichotomy?
Well, this is a mirage that they are so successful at creating, and they've done it. It began with Jimmy Carter, all through Reagan, all the way up to the current administration. And their narrative is simply this. They create...
But wait. Sorry. Just quickly on that. The hostages, the American diplomats who were kept as hostage, they were released through diplomacy. The use of force against Iran was an absolute disaster. Obviously, Operation Eagle Claw, which ended in the deaths of like some American servicemen, and I believe also, I think there was a random Iranian guy who had to be killed. Well, had to be killed by the Americans. Had to be makes it sound like they had to. Who killed the Americans? Murdered some Iranian guy because he saw them. I believe that's claimed. I can't remember the exact story. What did this general oversee? Is he trying to say? Well, he didn't oversee the Iraq War.
A narrative that we are the diplomats and we're more moderate than the hardliners who run in the regime. And you got to help us motivate and change the hardliners somewhat. And we do. This is the key point. We want to coexist with you. So let us work this together. And every negotiating team...
Well, the problem is the Iran war was about toppling the regime. The fact that people deny that that's what Trump was trying to do, they're lying to you. They're lying to you, okay? That's what the... That's what it was about. I'm pretty sure there was some article today about how Netanyahu had misled Trump and had also lied about the opinion of the general opinion of the Israeli intelligence about destroying Iran's government and making them collapse. They lied about it. And effectively, they just went ahead with it and they failed. Like their plan was to invade and collapse the Iranian government, or collapse it through bombardment and the killing of Khamenei. It totally failed. The Islamic Republic now has taken full control over the strait. Wresting it off them is nigh on impossible, because all you have to fucking do is... All you have to do to control it is to fire stuff from an incredibly long coastline that you could effectively just fight a guerrilla war from. And so what do? You can't get control of the strait in the same way that you've shown you can't collapse the Islamic Republic. So why are you talking about this?
Believes, wow, we're dealing with people that are much more reasonable than we've dealt with in the past.
And we're going back decades.
Yeah, I remember watching the Glenn Greenwald debate, and Nick Matau in that debate is literally like, well, actually, the thing you have to understand is they never set that out as a specific aim. Motherfucker, Trump tweeted over and over again that was what he was trying to do, and he said it over and over again, that is what he was trying to do. The Israelis openly spoke about it. And yet, they now pretend, no, that didn't happen.
And we're going back to Jimmy Carter, who extended a hand to the regime that just took over. He stiffed the Shah, and then they stormed our embassy. We're going back to Ronald Reagan.
By the way, the regime didn't actually storm the embassy, really. The followers of it did.
When they released the hostages on the day of his inauguration, he and his team thought, well, we're going to be able to work with the Iranians. They blew up 2 embassies and blew up our barracks. The list goes on and on and on. These moderates who they believe are reasonable.
Streamlabs is the bot, and basically if you put a full stop in anything, Streamlabs just basically removes your comment and thinks you're trying to send a link.
Report to the guys that are running the regime. They are as committed to the goals of the regime as the so-called hardliners. There's just one. And we've got to understand this. And every new administration has to find out this awful truth. And the president knows it. Oh, these guys are crazy. They lie. They cheat. And that is the truth of it. Even though they're sophisticated diplomats, they appear urbane, and they appear to be very reasonable, and just help us work with the hardliners.
Last thing, General, the end game here, because there's a lot of people in America who want to see this come to an end. They obviously want to see gas prices go down. Politically, the president and his...
Yeah, isn't it fucking crazy that so many people justified the Iran war based on an attack by Hezbollah on an American military barracks, and these people don't understand, or basically don't want you to understand why, I don't know, the Iranians might be upset and angry about the bombing of the Minab school literally a few weeks ago? Well, a couple of months ago now.
His party would like to see that before the midterms. Does this come to an end, or are we talking about this a year from now?
We should not. When we stopped on April the 8th, we had, in the minds of the both military commanders on the IDF and CENTCOM, we had about 2 weeks to finish it. And that's still out there. I think the sooner we finish it, the sooner we end the problem with oil prices and the rest of it.
By the way, finish it. By the way, finish it means scorched earth. That's the only option, scorched earth. Also, Great White Sufi, sorry, I was going to respond. I'm sorry to hear, sorry for your loss. I hope you're doing okay. I hope you enjoyed the stream. But yeah, I hope you're doing okay, Great White Sufi.
The longer we drag this out, the longer you have that problem existing. I'm not minimizing the problem. I think, listen, political objectives, economic objectives are real issues. Every president has to contend with them.
I actually cannot believe that this man is saying this, because the disaster really lies for the disaster really actually lies, if that happens, for the global economy.
And how you
Of course Iranians will suffer. Thank you so much for the stream today. Thank you so much for being here, Abundant Apples, as always.
balance that against military objectives and dealing with this regime is the president's decision, and I respect that decision.
Guys, why aren't you happy? This is American democracy. Moderate message. Thank you for the $2. Yeah, at a certain point, do you never think that these people would just reflect that just these constant attacks are just pointless? On Wednesday, the Pentagon approved the sale of 20,000 advanced precision kill weapon systems. According to some Saudi official, Trump approved them to pursue offensive strikes on the Houthis, according to a report today by Middle East Eye. If Saudi actually does that, they are so dumb. I think the Saudis, by the way, I think the Saudis won't do it. And actually, yesterday, if you want an indication that the Houthis or the Ansar Allah are probably not going to be as heavily involved, the Iranians actually carried out a strike yesterday. The Iranians were the ones who carried out the strike on Saudi Arabia for the first time, not the Ansar Allah. So it seems they're keeping those separate as of now. But yeah, I love American democracy. And I was talking to my girlfriend about this, of how the dummies are in charge. It is a problem. It is a problem that JD Vance appeared publicly and said, yeah, the point of what we're doing is to refill oil stocks. How do you ever think you'll get any kind of negotiation working from that basis?
But there is a means here. We can finish these guys and put them in a place where they're on the pathway to collapse. And I think we're on the pathway now. Good talk,
General, as always. Thank you.
I'm so shocked he didn't salute him. It's kind of disrespectful. La Boo. Yes, and Great White Sufi, that was a La Boo. Sophie, thank you for the $2. Thank you for supporting the channel as always. Goated. Thank you so much. And yeah, that's the La Boo. None of us want this war. I'm sick and bored of it. Well, unfortunately, you say none of us. If us includes the entire human race, I think we just found the man who wants this. A guy whose lips on the inside are blood red and on the outside they are painted an insane colour. Did you see JD Vance on Joe Rogan defending the Epstein? I didn't see that part, and I don't know what it is about my channel. Some of the other people who I see streaming certain things get away with it, but I can't get away with it. I don't know why, but they'll stream shit like Jubilee or a bit of Joe Rogan, and they're allowed to. I stay away from Joe Rogan because it seems to pull up the thing and demonetize me, and I cannot be arsed with this nonsense of demonetization anymore. They finished with a dap up. I know, but he didn't salute him, so that's kind of disrespectful. Yeah, I'm really interested in his lips. I've got to be real with you. 13 US troops wounded in... If Fox is admitting this, it's probably 13 million US troops who are injured. You can do that on Twitch only. I know. One day I would hope that it's not ad revenue, that, you know, I'd just be able to survive off memberships and subscribers. But for now, that's not entirely plausible. But one day it will be, hopefully.
Iranians also carrying out attacks on America's Gulf allies as the regime threatens to carry out a full-scale offensive.
Lucas Tomlinson is live in Tel Aviv with the details. Hey, Lucas.
They've got another guy in Tel Aviv that isn't Trey. What is even the point of this?
Well, good morning, guys. The Pentagon says 13 U.S. troops, 10 soldiers, and 3 sailors have been wounded in action this week at various bases in the Middle East, likely from Iran's continued attacks in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Jordan, and particularly a large attack on that base in Jordan, housing hundreds of U.S. troops and fighter jets. Now, the U.S. military has been fighting hard the last few nights, including a number of strikes around the Strait of Hormuz, trying to get more shipping through that critical waterway. Here's the former commander of the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet.
I think what we're in the process of doing is making it impossible.
Who is this? Who's this guy? Who is this guy? Who's this aged gentleman? And this other guy? This guy's not so aged. He kind of looks a tiny. He's got Saul Goodman's haircut, and he's talking to a turtle gentleman who looks a bit like Mitch McConnell.
For the regime to control the Strait of Hormuz from that same landmass, from the islands, from the littoral area that borders the strait itself, and then further inland where the roads and bridges and railroads are at, their ability to move supplies not only around...
Yeah, it's not legal to mention said soldier's name, and if any of you were to mention it in chat, I would have to delete it. I know people will know it, but I don't think I could allow that. But yes, it is illegal to mention the person who carried out killings on Bloody Sunday.
In the country, but into and out of the country.
Oh, I like it when it does the Twitch bring sound. I don't know if we can ever change that, but oh well. Thank you for the 14 NOK elephant fish and the burger. Once again, remembering Gnome. On days like today, Gnome would have loved this. What is NOK? North Korean dollars. That's elephant fish's Kim Jong-un's alt account. It's actually Kim Jong-il's previous alt account.
U.S. airstrikes began on Iran on July 7th when President Trump was in Ankara, Turkey at the NATO summit, and when Iran hit those 3 oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, bringing an end to the ceasefire. Since then, U.S. Air Force F-35s, F-16s, F-15s, and Navy Super Hornets and their version of the F-35 stealth fighter jet have been in the vanguard of the response, dropping 2,000-pound satellite-guided bombs and standoff missiles, destroying bridges recently around Bandar Abbas in recent days, Iran's largest naval and commercial port on the Strait of Hormuz. Now, shipping traffic has slowed to a trickle in this strait in recent days. To highlight how dangerous it is right now to sail through there, guys, U.S. warships have not attempted to transit the Strait of Hormuz in more than 2 months.
No, Soldier F is someone who was a British soldier who killed innocent civilians on Bloody Sunday. Also, seriously, please don't post his name because I feel like I might actually get in trouble for that.
The U.S. naval blockade has returned this week. An Iranian advisor, the supreme leader we've not seen or heard from since his father and most of his family were killed on the first night of the war, warned, quote, if U.S. strikes continue for several more days, we will move into a phase of full-scale offensive operations. So we can expect more airstrikes from the U.S. military. There has also been at least 3 medevac flights carrying wounded soldiers from the Middle East, guys.
Thank you, Lucas.
Thanks, Lucas.
Let me ask you a kind of a really big picture question. You know, we all remember a couple of months ago when all of this began. You and Trey were right there where you are right now in Tel Aviv, and there were constant missiles coming in. What does it tell us about the current capabilities of Iran that you're able to stand there in Tel Aviv and give that report and not have incoming missiles?
It's a good point, Charlie. It's been months since Iran launched any attacks on Israel. In fact, you have to go all the way back to early June. Now, it has been noisier in northern Israel from Hezbollah, but the last rocket attacks into northern Israel was back on July 2nd. So it's been, knock on wood, relatively calm in Israel in recent weeks and recent months when you talk about the war against Iran. But as I just mentioned off the top, 13 U.S. troops wounded this week at various bases in the Middle East. What Iran is concentrating now on are those bases in Jordan, Bahrain, and Kuwait primarily.
Just to kind of piggyback off of that, Lucas, you know, it feels like this is a regime, obviously, that cannot be trusted. The way that we've seen the back and forth with these negotiations.
God, it is. Someone was mentioning this earlier. That is just insane that that's Trump's daughter just like on the media to parrot her dad's bullshit rubbish. God, I cannot believe I've just seen this. I've got a message. I've seen a tweet saying, fucking with Kuwait was not a wise idea. These people are so dumb. I remember when one of the craziest statements I ever heard from Lonerbox was that one of the reasons that it would be bad if, or like more dangerous for the Iranians if the Saudis got involved is that the Saudis are like more likely to carry out war crimes. And it's just like, what does this even mean? The Saudis are not capable of doing a harder bombardment than the United States and Israel. The same right now. Israel could take out more infrastructure, but this would just lead to Iran trying to take out Israeli infrastructure, but also taking out Gulf infrastructure, which would cause major, major issues for the entire world.
Is a lot of that just bluster? They say they're going on the offensive, but to Charlie's point, if we're not seeing a lot of that activity, is that very realistic at this point?
The problem, Laura, is that you're dealing with three different governments inside Iran, and some would say it's not even a theocracy anymore. It's more of a military junta. The IRGC, those generals, have taken over the country. They're heavily involved in the business of Iran. Half the oil is owned by the IRGC. It's almost like dealing with the mafia. They've shown in recent days and weeks they don't want to give that up. I
mean, Trump's government is increasingly just a mafia state. So, you know, what can you say?
Despite the best efforts from the U.S. military to open the Strait of Hormuz, we've really seen that shipping traffic slow down to a trickle. Not many ships going in and out, and certainly none in recent days using the Omani, that southern route. So it's very difficult. We've also seen from Iran that their magazines are a lot deeper than we expected, perhaps just a few months ago when we heard reports that, you know, 80, 90...
By the way, it's so funny listening to this guy tell the truth after having a literal general on to give expert military analysis about what's happening in the Middle East, of this guy going, yeah, actually, as it turns out, the Iranian magazines are a lot deeper than we thought.
Percent of their stockpile had been decreased. You know, they continue to launch drones. In fact, just the other day in Kuwait, they launched 33 drones at that country. So the U.S. military has its work cut out for them.
Yeah, you're right. It sounds very clear that the head of the IRGC, Ahmad Vahidi, is not showing any signs, even being so hampered and destroyed militarily, that he's going to stop anytime soon. We'll continue to follow it. Lucas Tomlinson, great report. Thank you.
Thanks.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox 1.
Wow, that's where you can work out where Fox is. Okay, right. Let's catch up with, there's an Al Jazeera long piece about this. An Al Jazeera long piece about what's happened overnight. We'll catch up with that, and then we'll talk about other details and kind of try and place what's happening.
US forces have carried out a 7th night of airstrikes on Iran, targeting sites in the south and centre of the country. Iranian state media is reporting at least 3 people have been killed and 8 others wounded in Hormozgan province. 2 bridges and a road tunnel were hit. Multiple explosions were also heard in the southern cities of Sirik, Bushehr and Bandar Abbas. Iran's critical oil export hub, Qeshm Island, was also targeted. There are reports of explosions deep inside Iran too, in the central city.
I wonder why they attacked here in Yazd. I haven't seen much explanation as to why they did that. But yeah, this is basically the US carried out big strikes in Iran, again on infrastructure. The situation is just, as I said earlier, this is probably the most dangerous moment in the Iran war in recent, just generally, this is just a horrendous situation, like the most dangerous situation. Infrastructure being targeted was not happening on this scale previously, and it's just going deeper and deeper and deeper and worse.
Yazd, the southern city of La, was also hit. One of the strikes hit this bridge in Hormozgan province. It has cut off some parts of Bandar Abbas. The attack comes a day after US forces attacked civilian infrastructure, including bridges, an airport and a railway substation. US Central Command says the strikes are aimed at degrading Iran's military capabilities. Meanwhile, Iran's Revolutionary Guard says 2 oil tankers have exploded whilst passing through a minefield in the Strait of Hormuz.
This is just, by the way, I haven't seen much about this. 2 oil tankers exploding is one of the only stories that they've been talking about that I just haven't seen at all. Israeli media reported today that several air-fueling aircraft arriving in Israel. Maybe the thing is market closed, so tonight it is a big, big, big moment of just strike after strike, but we really do have to see.
Moons. CENTCOM, though, says the reports are untrue. This as the military advisor to Iran's supreme leader warned of further escalation if the US carries out more attacks.
If the US attacks continue for another 2 or 3 days, we will enter a phase of full-scale offensive and destructive attacks. What does that mean? It means that Iran will no longer limit itself.
Did you read the report that Hegseth and Trump love watching bomb montages? Love the idea of someone's job to create music videos of gore bombing all day for this goofy shit. Yeah, I've heard that Trump... I don't know about Hegseth, but I have heard that exact thing about Trump talking about that. The thing of him just basically watching a montage of people getting killed, and that's the lens through which he's basically understanding the assault on Iran. I don't doubt it. I'm going to be real with you. I don't think Trump's cognizant enough to be actually following what's happening in Iran. I think all of this is just incoherent bullshit and babble. And I mean, watching this right now is the dumbest escalation that they've taken. It is. They've given Iran an excuse and a justification for it to kind of go and hit, the infrastructure in the Gulf and American bases, and they failed last time and they'll fail again. Like, what do they think's going to happen? Iran didn't collapse previously. The show of support for Khamenei's funeral was pretty fucking massive, so it is pretty evident that there's at least a sizable amount of people there who do still have sympathy or like the Islamic Republic. So what are they trying to do? It's so obvious that the main objective of collapsing it is failed, and yet we're just watching Trump dive deeper and deeper into this. It's fucking insane, to put it frankly.
To mere retaliation, and no political border will be safe from Iran's offensive powers.
And Iran's armed forces say they've targeted US interests in Kuwait and Jordan with drones. They say they launched strikes on ammunition depots at Camp Al-Udari and Ali Salam Air Base in Kuwait. Several bridges were also targeted. Earlier, Kuwait said a number of army personnel were injured in Iranian attacks. Iran's forces say they've also targeted an airbase in the Jordanian area of Azraq. They insist the sites are used to support US attacks on Iranian territory. Air raid alerts have also sounded in Bahrain. Al Jazeera's Mike Hanna has more from Washington, D.C. on the strikes by the US military.
Another day of US strikes at what has become a regular time. CENTCOM issued a statement saying that a new round of military action was underway. But this was different from what it had been announcing in recent days. In the past, CENTCOM would specify the targets that were being hit, and these were all related to Iran's attempts to keep control of the Strait of Hormuz, targets like Coast Guard headquarters, drone factories.
I mean, if you can take out every drone, but making drones is so cheap and so easy, like with Hezbollah, maybe conceivably you could eventually strangle it off. But I think ultimately with Iran, how do you do it? Like, how do you actually do it? How do you stop Iran being able to make drones? Maybe you can with missiles, but even then, you would think that Iran has prepared for this. You know, you would think that Iran has just prepared for how you would be able to prevent this. They're all on drugs and they're not even trying to hide it. They're all roid raging and they probably feel like Superman. Now, hey, yeah, that testosterone testing is fucking insane. I also, yeah, I don't know if you'd want them. And on that video of how Ali Khamenei came to power, maybe we will watch that. We'll see what time's like. But thank you for sending that, Abundant Apples. Israeli media reported today that, yeah, you already read that. You can't strangle off Hezbollah. But I think that the only reason that they might be able to strangle off Hezbollah getting drones in is because obviously they have the collaborationist regime in Syria and they also have the, you know, the collaborationist regime in Lebanon. So maybe you could do it. But in Iran, no. And I think that the thing is the Iranians will have prepared for this and they will be producing things. Hamas was producing weapons throughout the Israeli bombardment of Gaza.
On this occasion, though, CENTCOM did not specify what targets it was striking, and it would appear that the U.S. forces have now expanded their theater of operations, striking at targets within Iran itself, targets like infrastructure projects such as bridges and indeed factories. The U.S., on its part, insists that vessels continue to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. It's referring to the other route that passes by the coast of Oman. They maintain that the U.S. is protecting vessels passing through that route and at the same time blockading vessels attempting to go to or leave Iranian facilities along that route on the Iranian coast. Iran, for its part, claimed that a number of vessels had been exploded in the strait by hitting landmines. Once again, CENTCOM was quick to issue a denial, saying that this...
This is the thing, though. At this point, CENTCOM just lies so fucking much that it's like, what am I even meant to say? Like, CENTCOM just lies constantly. So what do we do here?
Claim was false and continuing to insist that the strait that it controls is safe for passage. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Well, let's get more on this. Tawhid Asadi joins us from Tehran. And Tawhid, just bring us up to date with the latest following the 7th consecutive night of US airstrikes. What do we know so far about the damage caused and those casualties reported?
Yeah, I don't know if JD admitted that, but that Iran was way faster at producing weapons. But historically, that's always been true. It's always been true that Iran is way more capable of just producing. Like, how hard do you think it is to really produce drones? The answer's not particularly hard. There was some discussion, I think it was by CNN maybe, that they may have been able to have produced they may have been able to restore the majority of their drones already.
It's a sustained campaign of airstrikes by the Americans, yet another night of exchange of fire, I would say, something that we have been witnessing in the Iranian southern coast in the past few hours, in the past 2 hours, I may say, in Khorramabad, in the western parts of the country. Also in Bandar Abbas, we've got reports of explosions taking place, but in addition to that, we know that in other cities, including Yazd in central areas, as well as Lar, Omidieh, Ahvaz, Darab, Sirik, Josk, and also in 2 important islands of Qishm and Larak, we've got similar reports about the ongoing nature of these airstrikes by the Americans. And also, speaking of the casualties, we've got it from the office of the governor of Hormuzgan, saying that tonight at least 3 people were killed, 8 more injured, and also we know that 2 bridges and 1 road tunnel were targeted in tonight's attacks, while the Iranian side is talking about the retaliatory strikes across the region targeting American military assets.
And Tawhid, Iran has said it will respond. How has it militarily and in the Strait of Hormuz?
Every time a U.S. attack happens, Iranians are coming out with a statement to saying that there are going to be crushing more, I would say, stronger answers ahead. And tonight we've got similar statements from Army and the Revolutionary Guards talking about conducting attacks on U.S. military assets.
That's an Iranian accent. That's what Iranian... It's not a Tehrani accent, maybe?
Including...
I think, yeah...
ammunition depots and fuel storage in different countries in the region, including in Bahrain, in Jordan, and Kuwait. They are saying that they have conducted attacks, militarily speaking. And also, when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, they're trying to flex their muscles. Tonight, they've got two statements from the Revolutionary Guards. On the first statement, they said that 4 vessels planning to approach the Strait of Hormuz without permission from the Iranian side were stopped. And also there were, in another statement, the Revolutionary Guards, they were talking about the explosions for 2 oil tankers that decided to use another trajectory to pass through this geostrategically significant waterway. And on that, we know that Iranians are saying that any transiting through Strait of Hormuz should take place within the coordinated way and within the road that Iranians have determined in that regard.
Tawhid Asadi, live from Tehran with the very latest. Thank you. Well, let's now go to Hamza Mohammed, who is in Doha for us. Hamza, we're hearing...
Have they been attacking Qatar all that much? It seems that Bahrain and Kuwait are really getting hit the hardest. Bahrain, apparently sirens have sounded in Bahrain. The siren has been sounded. Citizens and residents are urged to remain calm and head to the nearest safe place. That was the 6th time since last night reported noise, and they haven't even issued an update saying get out, like you can get out of your shelter. They just keep posting this. The siren has been sounded. 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 Wide turnout for Club Summer 3. The siren has been sounded. Wow.
Reports that Kuwait and Jordan have been targeted with drones in the last few hours. Also, sirens sounding in Bahrain. What is the latest you're hearing about the Iranian attacks across the Gulf?
Well, it's been another active night for the air defense system of the countries in the GCC. A short while ago, Kuwait said that they were dealing with a hostile drone from Iran, and they put out an alert telling people not to panic if they hear loud.
Well, Bahrain is the home of the 5th Fleet, so the US Navy 5th Fleet is based in Bahrain. Oman has a big base, but I think there's quite a lot of British troops in Oman as well. And you also have Al Udeid in Qatar, which is the biggest military base in the region. There are also, by the way, this is 6 minutes ago, Kuwait's fire force says its team extinguished 3 additional fires caused by shrapnel falling in residential areas. Authorities report the blazes are contained. It's just non-stop for Kuwait and these countries.
Explosion, saying that it's the air defense systems intercepting those drones. And then shortly after that, the Iranian military put out a statement saying that they have targeted 2 bases in Kuwait. They said they've hit the Ali Al Salim base. That's a base that's about 50 kilometers from Kuwait City. This base, before this conflict started, it used to host early warning raiders and air defense batteries.
Yeah, the Bahrain base is pretty much destroyed. There is not really much left. Well, it still exists, obviously, but they've kind of been bombing it a lot.
But since the start of this war, we don't know if American soldiers are still based at this base, Ali al-Salim base, that the Iranians are claiming that they've hit. They've also said that they targeted Camp Udeiri. This camp is about 90 kilometers from Kuwait City. It's also quite a significant one because it used to be a hub for US forces. And in Jordan, they're saying that they've hit Al-Azraq base. This base is quite important because it used to be a major logistical and forward operating base for US soldiers. But these are claims from Iran. We haven't had any comment or statement from the Kuwaitis, from the Jordanians, or from the Americans. So,
yeah, the reason that we don't know anything is because they're authoritarian dictatorships who just hide any damage. That's why. And they were literally arresting citizens who filmed it. Iran will do the same, but we know that because the US is like, the US just shows them, says exactly what it's doing. Unfortunately, the problem is that they don't tell the truth about what's getting hit. They didn't tell the truth about any of their... They didn't tell the truth about any of the strikes on, you know, their bases. They didn't tell the truth about it.
Now, this is what we're hearing, and it's a developing story. We'll get more as time comes.
We absolutely will. And Hamza, how prepared are Gulf countries for these further attacks? And what is being said in the region?
I don't know how... The 5th Fleet base will be massive, I'm sure, but Al Udeid is by far the biggest one. Why doesn't Trump just tariff the missiles? That is a fantastic idea.
Well, governments...
Yeah, exactly. I don't trust Al Jazeera Arabic because during the Arab Spring they portrayed jihadist groups in Syria and Libya as heroes and moderates, and every day they host a Pentagon spokesperson. Yeah, I don't think Al Jazeera in Arabic is perfect or Al Jazeera in English is perfect. You have to take it with a grain of salt and realize what they're talking about, you know. If I film anything, I could go to prison for 10 years, 100%.
GCC countries, they've been saying two things. On one hand, they've been reassuring their citizens, telling them there is no need to panic, that the military, the defense systems are in place to protect them. But they've also been condemning Iran. This, you know, in these latest strikes, several countries have come out. And on Friday, and Qatar was one of the countries that came out, condemned, and said they have the right to respond to those attacks. Kuwait also came out, accused Tehran of targeting civilian infrastructure, especially electricity plants and desalination plants. This comes after a significant plant was hit where electricity generating units were taken out. So governments here are responding. On one hand, they are reassuring their people. On the other hand, they are condemning these strikes, saying they are not helping the situation in the region.
Okay, Hamza Mohammed, Indo.
Also, this is a video of a hit on a Jordanian base last night, Muafak Salti Air Base. Have a look at this. Look at these videos. It is incredible that this exists. Like, just look at the size of that. Like, how is that getting through? Look at that. Look at that second hit. Why did that first hit do so much? That must have hit something. Wow. Just incredible. Just unbelievable that this is happening right now.
Ohar, thank you. Well, let's stick with this. Colonel Abbas Dahouk is a former senior military advisor for Middle East affairs at the US State Department. He joins us live from Washington, D.C. Abbas, good to have you on the programme. Top Iranian officials consistently warning of global escalation in response to US attacks. In what ways could we see Tehran escalating this situation?
Well, I think both are escalating with the hope the other side will de-escalate and they come to the negotiating table. I think Iran seems will continue to fire back.
It is just genuinely unbelievable that the game of chicken sort of being played right now. The game of chicken that's basically like, who's going to do the first strike that crosses the brink of just hitting, you know, a military base, of hitting, like, of constantly just hitting, like, you know, oil fields, like the equivalent of Haag. Who's the one to hit major Saudi infrastructure? Who does it first? Who takes it too far, you know?
Against the neighboring countries, just like you just reported, mainly to Kuwait, Qatar, UAE, now Jordan, and with the hope that they will deter any further U.S. Strikes. And also recently there are reports that they've been talking to the Houthis in Yemen, try to see if the Houthis will also block the Bab el-Mandeb. So this is a final, another card the Iranians have.
It's so dangerous, though. Imagine if they do block Bab el-Mandeb, like, it's crisis. It's just a straight up crisis zone. I'm pretty sure that whatever is left of the missile shields, they're severely depleted, and the USA doesn't have production capacity right now to resupply. No, they don't have the ability to resupply. They don't have the ability to resupply at all.
If the Houthis decide to do that. And also the Iranians, they can, instead of just firing on military bases and some of the airports, they could start targeting also economic targets in the region, perhaps some oil refineries or...
That's the whole thing. I don't know if people are quite grasping, because there just weren't these many infrastructure hits in such a concentrated amount of time. You attack the desalination facilities, and that is genuinely, like, not just haha, death of Dubai style meme, death of Dubai Labubu land, but the thing is that if you do that, that's the death of the Gulf. Everyone has to leave. They can't get that much drinking water in.
Or some electric grids, so they can retaliate for against civilian economic targets, but that also comes, they know it comes on a hefty cost to them from the United States.
And just looking at a developing story this evening, back to the crucial waterway, the Strait of Hormuz, becoming increasingly dangerous for ships. We've been hearing of attacks, explosions, but the US insisting it is still open. How would you describe the situation there?
Who was saying they were betting on Brent crude prices a few days ago? Because I bet they're absolutely killing it right now. I mean, just Googling Brent crude, it's at 83, so that means it must be higher, like, what, 86 or something?
I mean, definitely it has become dangerous, and it's not the same like it was before the war. Remember, before the war, you had over 100 ships pass through the Strait of Hormuz every day. And now we have very few, less than 10, and there are most of them are.
I mean, the US's war is collapsing. The US's vision for this war is collapsing the government of Iran, of collapsing the Iranian state, of descending Iran potentially just into civil war. That's their plan, and it didn't work. And their current plan is to reopen the Strait of Hormuz through military might, which previously failed.
Escorted by the U.S. Navy. And some couple has to turn off their transponders, their GPS, so they become dark ships, try to sneak their way through the Hormuz. So it is very dangerous.
Yeah, $88 on the Brent crude. And Butterfan, I really wonder what the Trump's calculations are. I do too. Looting and making as much money and building like a legacy and a history for himself. If reports are to be believed, Lindsey Graham was coaching Netanyahu on what to do and was also saying to Trump stuff like, "What will be your legacy, Mr. Trump? Israel can be your legacy. If you love Israel enough, you can keep anything. You can do anything if you show love and respect to Israel. I have been gay my entire life and have hidden it due to showing respect for Israel." But yeah, I don't know. I think that's the thing of just like, he basically said to Trump, "What will be your legacy?" And he related it to the Iranian protesters and probably made Trump feel good and, you know, tricked the old sort of memory issue man into just carrying out these attacks. What's his name? Jeff Curry. I feel like Jeff Curry was a bit of a doomer on the commodity market, but he was talking to Mario Norfal not long ago. So Curry was saying a few days ago that the abundance illusion in the oil market is fading. During the initial phase of the Middle East disruption, we saw a coordinated release of strategic reserves from the US, Europe, Japan, alongside China and other Asian consumers, flexing their substitution and drawing inventories, particularly products. That created weak oil prices and the illusion that the market was well supplied. However, crude oil prices are the noise and product prices are the signal. The 3-2-1 crack reached an all-time high of $70 BBL, Brazilian butt lift, this morning at 85 per barrel. Brent, that's $155 per BBL product basket. And remember, no one consumes crude oil, only products. By the way, condoms are actually something that's set to go up a lot because the main producer of condoms is in Malaysia, or the world's largest producer is in Malaysia, and oil has gone up so much of a higher point that it's just tough for them. Like, they can't produce them. Nothing more than accolades in his legacy. But when it comes to Israel, I doubt it's that. This is some blackmail of obedience. Nah, I don't know. I think when it comes to someone like Lindsey Graham was just a maniac who loved Israel. Seriously, he was. This is why crude oil are the noise. Phase 2 of the US-Iran conflict is now starting from record low inventories. We should probably just watch this. We maybe watch that in a second, depending how long it is.
And also very costly in terms of insurance and so on. So it's not the norm. It is dangerous. And that's one of the reasons where the United States at this point persisting on this strait to be open without any restrictions, both in and out of the strait.
Just looking at this conflict on a wider scale, it's incredibly complex.
There is absolutely no compromising information on Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham was like, everyone knew that Lindsey Graham was, Lindsey Graham was gay. And also there have been people putting out stories about Lindsey Graham for years that have never, always been like rumors and stuff, which, most people could work out. Yeah, okay, it's probably true. If it was the case that Israel had that, surely they would have banned it all. I think, honestly, Lindsey Graham just loved Israel, and I think some of you should just admit that there are just some people who just fucking love Israel. And Lindsey Graham was that.
Lots of different countries involved. But we're hearing, again, Gulf countries have been targeted. Is there a red line in which you can see that some of these countries could be brought into this conflict militarily?
I mean, that's a very good question. I mean, Iran has crossed many red lines on the regional arena and also on the...
Yeah, I mean, the condom situation is obviously, I'm monitoring the situation. That is the situation that I'm monitoring.
International arena in terms of blocking this, international waterways and bringing economic pressure on the.
I think Lindsey Graham is also kind of indicative of the problem of understanding, like, does the tail wag the dog and stuff or whatever, because obviously, Lindsey Graham and that kind of evangelical thing is not even something to explain all of their love of Israel. The liberal love of Israel, like libs loving Israel, is like an old thing. Like, libs loving Israel is something that's existed for a really long time. And yeah, French Joe, the American dream is over. No gas, no condoms. Far.
On all countries, European countries, United States, and so on. So many red lines have crossed, and the GCC countries, they're still determined to exercise the diplomatic element power. They do have, especially Saudi Arabia, UAE, they do have the military capability to respond and assist the United States and put in more military pressure on the Iranian regime. But so far, they have not. I think if the Iranian
Yeah, who up in the Situation Room monitoring that shit?
regime would start targeting desalinization plants and oil refineries within the GCC countries, perhaps they will force the regional countries to exercise also their military element power. But by then, there'll be a all-out regional war. And that's what GCC does not want, to become a battlefield for a U.S.-Iran war.
No, of course, and continuing calls.
Okay, right, let's have a listen to Jeff Curry on the oil market situation. Hopefully he tells us a bit more about the prices of the price of condoms.
What read we should take, if at all.
Do you know Adam Hania? Yeah, I do know, actually. I've met Adam Hania. Adam Hania teaches at Exeter. I didn't know him well at all, but I've met him a couple of times. He gave a lecture at my encampment. He's a nice guy. He was very friendly with the lecturer who I know. If you ever want to read about Iran, the one who I'm good friends with, or was once good friends with, is Mr. Marc Valery. Marc Valery is like an expert in Omani history. I have his book. If you ever want to read something about Oman, check out Mr. Marc Valery. He was a great guy. Do you condom Hamas? Well, no one will be condoming anyone.
From what is effectively one of the highest crack spreads that we've seen since the mid-'80s, relative to, I guess, the relative fate.
What the hell is a crack spread? I am sorry, that is not an appropriate thing to be talking about. YouTube, do not demonetize me. They're talking about oil, not any other kind of crack spread.
That we've seen in crude oil futures themselves.
Well, I think when we think about oil, it was impacted by, like I could say, when that MOU came out, it was like popping a pimple. There was oil trapped behind the strait, and then it all came out suddenly. Like over 120 million barrels. You know, some estimates put as high as 150 million barrels. That hit crude really hard as it came down. But obviously, you can't refine it immediately and put it into products. But at the exact same time, Ukraine started striking deep into Russia.
By the way, have any of you seen I think it's Moscow. It must be Moscow, surely. Have any of you seen what Moscow looked like? This is what Moscow looked like, apparently. Jesus Christ. I guess that's the thing that we don't even talk about, especially because I'm not like as much of a Ukraine head. The strikes are causing a major issue. And yeah, a crack spread in the condom shortage will lead to disaster.
Russia, like 1,300 kilometers inside Russia with precision drone strikes that were taking out what we call the CDU, crude oil distillation unit. That's the prime.
I'm pretty sure that will be as a result of Ukrainian strikes on, that will be an example of, that will be an example of some kind of oil things being hit or things related to oil.
Primary tower. Some of these things are going to take years to rebuild. The damage was so extensive, it's taken out more than 50% of the refining capacity out of Russia, and has led to crude oil shut-ins. So not only have we now lost all of the Straits of Hormuz again, we've also lost the crude oil and the refineries in Russia.
At what point are you guys going to start admitting that there is a new axis of evil, and it is the Ukrainians and the Iranians working together to destroy global capitalism by just destroying the amount of oil that is available to us? I guess, yeah, once again, something that I haven't talked about, that is just a major issue.
So the situation in energy, I would argue, is pretty dire. And the other thing I want to point out is that we've exhausted all the insurance policies in round one of the Straits of Hormuz, whether if it is inventory buffers or whether it is China with flexing its economy and be able to.
I know what a crack spread is. Cassandra, I'm not sure you should be saying that on YouTube. Not sure that is an appropriate comment. It's the price for refineries actually pay per barrel for oil to refine into gas. Other things via the futures price you would see posted for WTI Brent. Oh, so that's really interesting. Thank you for letting me know.
Survive the downturn. So it's a very different situation.
Well, you're talking about switching to renewables. The UK has a new Prime Minister. Guess what Andy Burnham said he's going to do today? To drill the North Sea. Which, by the way, I think he's only drilling the North Sea, not even because there's much of a point to it. But I think because he can appeal to Trump through it. Trump's always been hot on him, not on people not drilling the North Sea in the UK. So we'll see.
In this round 2 than when we saw in round 1.
Well, square the circle with me, because, I mean, you get this messaging coming from the Trump administration. I understand they're going to talk their side of this story, but they talk about this oil glut and all the tankers out there that are ready to sort of pick up the slack here if and when they finally get the situation in the Strait of...
In my understanding, and this is very dumb, the person, I'm sorry, I've already forgotten who, Cassandra, you said you knew what the crack spread was. In my understanding, in many ways, these oil fields are like basically just big pressure cookers, and it's not like a great idea when you've run out of capacity and storage to kind of just leave them to keep on going, or to let them, fall down, because once you're trying to restart them, it's really difficult. One group of people who's actually very good at fiddling with production is the Iranians, because they have previously had to do it and to to reduce and stop it. Maybe this crisis is profitable. What are the odds in a few weeks' time we're going to get like all this shocked reporting from the mainstream media and go like, oh my gosh, the mainstream media is going to be like, oh my gosh, I've forgotten what I was going to say. Oh wait, no. Oh my gosh, Trump has made so much money from this. Oh my gosh, it's awful. Sudan war is escalating. As I've said before, the UAE is so hard to prevent its supplies getting there. They do it through such a wide nexus of trickery.
Hormuz taking...
Also, once again, if anyone has a Prime over on Twitch and they're checking me out for the first time and they want to drop it, please feel free. It's always greatly appreciated, any support for the channel.
Care of here. With no buffer, no cushion, why is there still a lot of optimism out there, not just from the administration, but even from some of the corporate CEOs that we've heard from?
I think they have witnessed the fact that nothing happened in round 1. And I like to say commodities are spot asset. They price today's fundamentals.
I'm loving saying that too. You always catch me saying commodities are a price asset.
We were burning through the inventory cushion buffer. We didn't have shortages. We had a deficit, meaning that demand was above supply and you were drawing the inventories. We didn't run out of oil. This time around, why do we have products trading at these all-time high levels, and you have diesel, I think in New York Harbor is like $130 or $140 a barrel? Because we are now witnessing the probability of running into real shortages of products. But eventually, there's still enough refining capacity as you'll burn through a lot of this crude, particularly of China. And from what I understand, the margins are big for exports. They lifted the export ban out of China. Those refineries are going to come back and start processing that. So you're going to see the rise in crude as you move closer to the product prices. But I think the main reason why there is a high level of confidence this is not going to be bad is, like I call it, the abundance illusion. They're looking at the inventory draws. China helped out with flexing its system, and we didn't see the shortages. So everybody's convinced round 2 you won't see the shortages. The situation, this is it. And both sides have, entrenched themselves. Oh, one other fact that makes this one different. Saudi and the Houthis are at it. Mm-hmm. The Houthis control the Red Sea. They can take out Yanbu, which was the diversion export for Saudi Arabia. So the situation this time around is just far different and far more dangerous.
Jeff, do you think that demand destruction can offset supply shortages, or do you think we're entering a new era in which oil prices are just structurally higher and that's the new normal?
I was arguing.
Yeah, I heard him say the Houthis. Saudi and the Houthis. Saudi and the Houthis are fighting at the Yanbu.
Before this ever.
The Saudis and the Houthis. So I was chilling in Yemen with the Houthis. Oh no.
Happened, we were going to enter a new area where all commodity prices, whether if it's oil, metals, agriculture, and the rest of them are going to be structurally higher. In fact, everything was going that direction until the
guys invest in the damn metals.
Ceased fire in April, whether it was metals prices or what. And a part of that is we call it the revenge of the old economy, that you need to have investment in these old economy, asset-heavy industries that were starved of capital in favor of asset-light, like technology. So the underlying fundamentals are very different. And
Exit. Exit. Thank you for the £20 goated donation. Thank you for supporting the channel, my man. Thank you as always. Incredibly kind donation. Exit. Goated donation. Thank you so much, as always, for making streaming possible.
I completely agree. We're in a period where hard assets.
Wait, Cassandra. That's a pretty big claim. I have not heard that at all. I have not heard that story at all, that they've rejoined the oil market. Is that true? That they're buying now? That they're not just releasing it? And yeah, don't worry about coming and going. It's great to see you again. Thank you for contributing as always. Even just talking is great. I always appreciate it.
Halo trade, I like to define.
Yeah, a few years ago, sorry, I will let him talk. A few years ago, I had a friend who told me to invest in some things, and I didn't do it. And I'm not so sure. Like, I was listening to someone talk about this the other day. I do kind of think that money should depreciate. And I think that how society should operate is that, the society should provide for older people rather than people having to hoard wealth for when they get older. That feels wrong and it feels unacceptable, because then you end up with a country like the UK where we basically are just all kind of enslaved by just old people and their needs, which, old people do have needs, and I'd rather not just see old people kind of die. But I think that the thing is that you really have to have an economy where money kind of depreciates, so you just don't hoard it. But unfortunately, money is just being made to appreciate over and over again. I hadn't heard that they'd started buying.
The underlying fundamentals are very different. And I completely agree. We're in a period where hard assets, the halo trade, I like to define halo as hard assets, local operations, meaning we're going to rebuild our supply chains, energy security, all of these, defense, all play into this, which are going to lead to higher prices. So, I think that this is just part of a sequence, whether if it was, the first invasion of Ukraine, with Russia, back in 2022, or the Straits of Hormuz, or the next round of Iran.
Crude oil as stockpiling returns. China's crude imports. If this happens, this is just disaster. This is, by the way, this is premier moment to be Chinese right now for the Chinese government. China, unlimited dollar reserves, trillions of dollar reserves. What the fuck do you think they're going to do with that money? They're just going to price everyone out of the oil market. My God. Yeah, I like Jeff Curry. He's quite an interesting guy.
And Russia, all of this is the deglobalization theme in the price of the commodities. That's a relative price thing. The question on inflation is, do you end up with higher overall price levels? So the commodities and oil are a relative price movement. The inflation question and the rate hike question is, does this lead to broader inflationary pressures? I'm not a big believer in the cost push inflation, but I think the question around growth is a very interesting and important one, because if we end up with shortages, that's how you end up with impact on growth. Everybody likes to tell me, oh, well, Europe survived 2022. It survived, but it lost 25% of its energy-intensive industrial output. That's the growth problem. And when we think about what happened in Europe, if this thing extends on, you don't have the products, you don't have the oil, it will hit growth. There's no other option. And the insurance policies are gone. I also want to point out, there is no strategic petroleum reserve for products. So the ability to, find ways to get out of this starts to become extraordinarily difficult.
Oh, fuck, you got a freeze. Damn. Is that my face? Oh, fucking internet. Damn. Typhoon jets destroyed. How do you know? Wait, how do you know this, that 2 Eurofighters have been destroyed?
Hey, Jeff, before I let you go, I do want to get your thoughts on what's going on in the energy sector outside of geopolitics. And this has more to do with energy intensity, the needs for this AI build out and boom. Coming off that PJM disclosure yesterday and everything we know about this build out, do you have any sense here that we will find some equilibrium anytime soon with regards to supply and demand?
No, I think we need to start spending money. You got to see FID, whether if it's upstream in oil and gas, downstream in refining, and metals in mining. All of these sectors are severely underinvested. You look at metals and mining, CapEx is down 35% from its peak. You need a lot of metal in those data centers. And you need metal for the grid. You need metal for transformers. You need metal for turbines. We need oil and gas to burn in them. We got to get to a point where commodity prices are high enough to attract capital back to the sector. You need higher return on investment to compete with the asset-light group. And the asset-light group, their returns are coming down. You look at the hyperscalers, these guys are commodity guys. They're in a cyclical business. It is cyclical. They need to be re-rated, and we need to see the commodity markets re-rated. But the reason why investors don't touch them is they're such a small part of the overall indices now. You go back at its peak in the last cycle around 2014, energy was roughly 18% of the S&P.
Am I evil for wishing that China would just let the economy crash? A bit of a moral question, isn't it? Because, like, capitalism is objectively a really bad thing and millions of people are suffering. But I think that the thing is, like, how many then people will end up suffering as a result of just total economic collapse, I guess is the thing. It's tough. I don't like any of these terms. No, he's still interesting to listen to talking about the global economy, and I hate the way he talks. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. He's always saying little phrases, which I'm not so sure about.
Runs around 3% now. So even if it doubled, a portfolio manager who's running a broad portfolio looks at, I can miss out. And we needed the commodity prices to move higher to get that capital to come back in the space to give the build out in the underlying production to be able to accommodate the AI, the electrification, the data center boom. So we still have a long ways to go here because you got.
Thank you, Mr. Jeff. He's been monitoring the situation in energy. He's our situation monitor in energy. But yeah, we've kind of been watching videos for a while now. There's a lot to say about what's happened because you can see that once again we've got another map of strike locations, okay? Okay. So this comes from Egypt OSINT Observer. For the second day in a row, Kuwait says another power generator and water desalination plant has been attacked, triggering a fire and forcing its several generating units offline. About 90% of Kuwait's drinking water comes from seawater desalination, so if these attacks continue, the impact on the country's water supply could become far more severe in the future. Also, just to point this out, is this not just kind of like a, a thing of like what can happen for the rest of these countries who continue to kind of enable America to do these things? It's like, you will start to lose your desalination facilities. If Iran is hit and you are allowing strikes to happen from your territory, the Iranians will do this. By the way, once again, this is something that you could go back and listen to my old content, or I remember in a lecture, we were talking about this of why it's so dangerous for the Americans to launch this war, which is the Houthis previously had shut down Saudi oil. So what do you think when the Iranians with far more capacity decide, yeah, you fucked us over, so we're going to do it? But this is the map of like desalination and wastewater treatment plants. Okay, so these are where they are. Look how close those are to Iran. What do you even do? An important statement from the leader of the Khamenei is going to be published shortly. Interesting. The idea that the same institutions have destroyed the economy are keeping it safe or stable doesn't make any sense. How do you mean? If you want to play, if you want a fun video, look up the guys that vetted Platner. They're the most Ivy League shits you'll ever see. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Sorry, there's this fly, and I caught it in my hands, and I've caught it again. No, I haven't. I've missed it. I've missed the fly. The damned creature is still... This infernal beast is bothering me. Oh, I just touched it. I just touched and I thought it was the fly. But yeah, look at this. Just... How do you protect these, even? Will suffer, but as a result, America can't threaten the third world when they overthrow their gov. Some mysterious 0 hour for operation. I don't even think they need some special fucking 0 hour operation. I think that the hard truth is the Iranians can just do what they're doing, exactly what they're doing, and escalate it, and that's it. They're just trouble. Just trouble. It's just such trouble for the world. The global economy. I also saw that China is basically now just somehow surged ahead in terms of the AI race. Well, I guess that's what happens when you allow private companies to do it. Also, the Qataris and the Iranians are arguing on Twitter. Well, this is a long history of arguing. So, let me guess, the desalination and electricity plants in Kuwait have American bases too, right? This is Iranian Mapna water desalination plant in Keshem, which the US destroyed with the help of Qatar, Kuwait, Jordan, UAE, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia. Arab countries gave their soil and facilities to the US, which helped them bomb an Iranian desalination facilities. Yeah, I mean, that's... I mean, you can understand what their argument is. What their argument is, in the sense of, like, their argument is basically, you aided and abetted the bombing of ours. What's your expectation? Like, what's your expectation of what happens next? Also, who are Wrexham playing? Oh, they're playing Man United and they're winning. Interesting. Sorry, that's off topic. I just saw Mark Goldbridge talking about it. I'm also just looking up to see if there's any specific thing. Additional fighter jets. There are more fighter jets being deployed to US bases, by the way. It's so obvious that this is escalating. And on the fly, yes, the fly is bothering me. The fly is not... Is the fly bothering you? I'm not bothering the fly. It's the one flying around me. These are turbulent times. Things are about to change, but I'm not smart enough to guess how. Star High, I don't think anyone is a fucking prophet of how this is going to change. The major issue for understanding the Iran war is you either go with something like Robert Pape, where he keeps going, escalation, 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 and that's his logic, and it's like, yeah, that's fine, you're right about that it can escalate and will. But there is no logical explanation as to why the US would have done this, okay? There is no logical explanation of why it was a good idea for the US to go back and try and defeat Iran with military force. What the fuck do they think is going to happen? The attacks on power plants, Trump kept backing out of them, not because, you know, the Iranians were negotiating or had changed their tact. I think the Iranians had always been negotiating. I think what had changed was that the Iranians hadn't been scared by it and they were willing to do it. They were willing to do their own attacks on the Gulf, which is so consequential. Oh dear. I-24 reports Israeli broadcast networks have been notified by the Prime Minister's office that emergency broadcasts may begin imminently. Hold on. So this is Israel-related news. Oh, Christ almighty. The second you're saying Israel-related news is, it's not good. Okay. This is Fatux. Fatux is fine as an aggregator. What are you sending over there? You're unable... I can't view it. It's a private message. Also, by the way, this is like... Look what's happening to Kuwaitis right now. This is apparently the Kuwaiti airport. The Fly is now on the screen. He's interested in Kuwait's airport. What do you think, Mr. Fly? He's not happy with Kuwaitis fleeing the country. He's upset at the consequences. Um, how do you see this ending, given the position of the US? I mean, there are two options. We literally talked this earlier. It may well be scorched earth policy, but because Trump is so dumb. And as I said yesterday, I'm not making any predictions. I remember I remember there's a chatter, hardly recommend. I remembered his name today, who's Iranian, and he was asking me, should I get pizza on February 27th? And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, you know, maybe they will, maybe they won't. There's been all this posturing for a really long time. I think the stream it was on was called, like, Worrying Signs with Iran or something. And I think that ultimately the US could put boots on the ground. They could actually try and seize southern Iran. I genuinely do think that that's a plausibility. And I know people will say it's dumb, and there are a huge amount of explanations as to why it's dumb. But this entire fucking thing is dumb, and it makes no sense. There is no plan. So how it ends, I don't know. But I don't see negotiations working. I see the Iranians just having this thing of just, well, we may as well just bomb. What's the point in not? Talking about the event that shall not be discussed. Yes, that's what they're here. Trump is making money, he'll keep going. Probably the best point. Yeah, this, by the way, this is what I said earlier. Prime Minister Netanyahu reportedly withheld Israeli intelligence dissent from President Trump during a Feb 2026 White House meeting on a plan to install Mahmoud Ahmadinejad in Iran. Netanyahu reportedly presented the operation as likely to succeed and having Israeli consensus, Haaretz. Meanwhile, by the way, you know what's amazing? When people are just saying that, you know, Israel is the greatest ally, that's Israel just lying to Trump, who these people all fucking worship, to get him to go into this dumbass war. And I have seen Robert Pape in a few places, I will say. Sorry, I almost just dropped chewing gum on the carpet, which would have been bad. I don't know what to say. Basically, Ynet is making the argument that this is just bombardment of territory to prevent resupplies. Maybe it is. Maybe it genuinely is. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Let's keep going through Fatux. IRGC Aerospace Force Commander Brigadier General Majid Mousavi warns rulers of Arab Gulf states to take Iran's latest warning seriously. Hormuzgan Governorate says a number of citizens were killed in US fighter jet attacks on the province's road infrastructure over the past few days. Tasnim, Iranian state affiliated. Hormuzgan is warning of more attacks potentially coming in. Iranian Foreign Ministry, this is the most important thing. The Iranian Foreign Ministry says the Memorandum of Understanding is based on a commitment for a commitment, and Iran will adhere to commitments as long as the US adheres. But there have also been other reports that the Memorandum of Understanding is suspended. That was reported earlier by Mehr News, saying Iran announces it is suspending its Memorandum of Understanding with the US. Mehr News. Someone pointed out, but this is the 7th time they've said that. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's just big words, but this definitely feels like something different. This moment feels like the most dangerous moment, and I won't stop saying. But the problem with the US boots on the ground argument is that they do not, that the US right now has a recruitment crisis. While so many able-bodied men are being arrested, deported, and killed by ICE agents on a daily basis, as long as Stephen Miller remains in the White House, they can't have a stronger army for boots on the ground. Yeah, and also employing a drunken idiot who for some reason believes that someone with low testosterone can't be a horrific mass murderer. I'm sure there are plenty of Nazis who were low testosterone, or plenty of individuals throughout history who've been uninspiring, low testosterone individuals. Like, honestly, and the stuff with your weight, like, honestly, what is it that they think is special about some guy who can fight hand-to-hand combat because he's in good shape versus some fucking random out-of-shape person? Could be gay, could be gay, could be anything, could be whatever, and they could, you know, they can still carry out the mass murder. So this whole thing of, like, how dumb the US military is. How's the situation going? Sam, I'm monitoring it hard, and I'm starting to come to the conclusion that this is not actually a good idea, that things are happening quite badly. I don't know how to prove this, but my theory from the start has been America thought they would fold within days. They would have air superiority with their standoff munitions. Mr. Mandela effect, I think that you could probably just prove that by listening to the fact that Trump was like, you will be able to take over your institutions, you know? He was saying that shit. They didn't get that, so now they need to dedicate shock and awe level air power to just hit Iran. They need to treat every day like it's the first day and they're out of standoff munitions. I know, that's the major issue is as well. I think shaky information from Netanyahu coupled with Trump riding, I think you have to talk about this in a wider context of the Venezuela stuff. Like, the kidnapping of Maduro was this moment that Trump rode really high on. That's bipartisan policy in America, by the way, trying to destroy, you know, anyone who is a thorn in the US side at all, anyone who doesn't dance the right tune. Maduro and Venezuela. Chavez was obviously far better of a ruler, but he was even more of a fucking thorn in their side. Do all of you remember that weird-ass car interview where Maduro was driving around and he was like, yeah, I'll give over business to the Americans, I'll work with the Americans. They literally just had to have a puppet, though, who had never done any wrong to them. And, like, I think they rode really high off the success in Venezuela. Netanyahu got into Trump's head about, like, yeah, you can do this with Iran instantaneously, playing on what Trump already believed. Trump chose to go with the Israelis because the US just outsources its foreign policy. Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei. So, Mojtaba tweeted, the reported breaches of the agreement by the Great Satan, square brackets the US, regarding the MOU signed by the presidents of Iran and the US have once laid bare a fundamental truth. The signature of the US president is utterly worthless and devoid of credibility. Coercion, totalitarianism, and brutality are inseparable components of the US creed and doctrine. Yeah, I mean, that's not true. But you can eventually adapt to that by moving things around a la Ukraine. Iran can hit anywhere in the Middle East, power plants and desalination, and America can't because they don't have ballistic missiles. They rely on cruise missiles, and they can't launch them deep inside anymore. No, I did not try and retweet. I would never, ever, 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 ever retweet a Mojtaba Khamenei tweet. Mojtaba Khamenei is affiliated with the Islamic Republic, which my country designates a terror organization, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. I do apologize, so I will not be retweeting anything. In fact, I'm literally actually looking at this tweet and condemning it right now. You don't see it because I don't always have to say it. That's how used I am to this. But yeah, I'm condemning this. You probably can't even tell how hard I'm fucking condemning this tweet, but I am. Wait, your adherence, your ardent heart's warmth, your tearful eyes and steadfast will of tens of millions, square brackets, in the martyred leader's funeral have filled the Iranian nation's friends and the world's free press with free people with admiration, while throwing Iran's arrogant enemies into bewilderment, rage, and fright. You know, I'll say SMH. No, you're not. No one is retweeting for me. I'm condemning the fucking tweet. I'm literally shaking my head as I am reading this. What are you even talking about? Like, I'm trying to shake my head. That's why I can't read it. I'm fucking condemning this shit. Like, what are you talking about? Seriously, I'm abiding the law and I am condemning it. I am condemning this tweet. This is a man affiliated with the IRGC, recently designated a terror organization by my government, and I will condemn it. I will accept the government's law in the same way that Hamas is a terror organization. The only point that I would make to this is that I believe that the UK government is increasingly totalitarian in its general behavior. And also, I do believe that the word terrorism would only be understandable in this context if one were to admit that the that the Emiratis and what they do in Sudan is terrorism, that what the Saudis did to Yemen was terrorism whilst we supplied them with the weapons and we allowed them to continue doing it, or whilst we, what we did to support Israel's genocide in Gaza. But yes, I will be wagging my finger at that. But of course, with all of that said, Palestinians have a right to resist. Of course they do. SMH is what Chris does when he goes to run to pee. I saw a guy get arrested in Northern Ireland the other day for wearing a Joe McDonald shirt under the Terrorism Act. I wear a Bobby Sands shirt all the time, and I'm just waiting. It's getting stupid again. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that ended up happening. Yeah, seriously, Marcus, I know you're joking right there, but actually don't do that. Please do not do that. Please do not do that. Oh, look up. I mean, I can't encourage people to look up, but Marcus, who is a citizen of Ireland, has had something to say. I'm just wagging my finger at the... sorry, I'm still just so in awe at needing to wag my finger at the tweet. So, sorry, I'm also just kind of monitoring the situation vis-a-vis Israel and what's going to happen with that. Iran's ambassador said Iran's ambassador to Pakistan said months of mediation produced a 14-point memorandum for continued talks. He accused Washington of misinterpreting the agreement, seizing control of parts of the Strait of Hormuz, and launching attacks on Iranian infrastructure. Iran called the action unlawful and urged the international community to condemn them. Jesus. Don't search up this information. Yeah, don't search up Ladybugs by Lindsey Graham. It's his best song. But yeah, I mean, just kind of watching and waiting for what's happening with Iran is kind of insane, Oh, wait, the only thing is happening is apparently the Israelis have now denied their messages. Okay, so this is Drop Site's reporting. I know we have a lot of problems with Drop Site, but, it's not specifically Ryan Grimm here. No, do not replace numbers and letters. Do not do that. Is it glitching for anyone else? Some of Chris's words are skipping. Fuck! Oh, no. Is that happening on Twitch? Are you guys seeing me skip and have issues? I think there's some issue with my internet that will be fixable in the near future. Hold on, let me have a look. And letters, do not do that. Is it glitching for anyone else? Some of Chris's words are skipping. Fuck! Oh, no. Is that... No skip. Oh, you know what? It could actually just be a YouTube issue quite a lot of the time, because when I used to have the issue related to what's going on, it was predominantly to do with both platforms, right? Gave out the name. Should I report Google to the authorities? Yeah, 100% report Google to the authorities. Is it? I don't know if it is still... Is it illegal to name... Yeah, it is. It is illegal to publish it, so I won't be publishing it, and I will do everything in my power to prevent anyone in the chat from publishing it because I'm a good, law-abiding UK citizen. Ryan Grimm's recent coverage of the Platner stuff we didn't like. And that's general. I say we because that's just, there's an accepted position because it's wrong and we didn't like it at all. It was bad. Anyway, let's carry on with this. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said it struck a series of US military targets across the Gulf on overnight into Saturday in the latest round of retaliation for American attacks on Iran. The claims are Tehran's own and have not been independently verified. Okay, these are the claims of what has actually been struck. A U.S. Army ground force base support center at Camp Off Arif Jan the main American logistics hub in Kuwait, which the IRGC said caused deaths, a radar installation at the Ali Al Salam Air Base, a key US air facility near the Iraqi border. Also, by the way, something I just want to note is, if you look up, there was a great article about what these injuries are. When the US is saying, like, oh yeah, some soldiers were injured, these are like debilitating long-term head trauma. It's not just like a little injury. God, I'm actually sorry. Someone was just posting a right-wing grifter just establishing some fucking fundraiser about, like, to make more money when they're already, you know, incredibly rich. And it's just like, how are people so willing to just, like, pay for Tommy Robinson, who's clearly, like, a multi-millionaire, being supported by foreign governments? Also, I was expecting a bit more out of Mojtaba Khamenei, of them, you know, of him basically saying that he would be ending the MOU, but that didn't seem to be in his statement. Once again, a lot of you on Twitch. Anyone with a Prime, throw that shit over. Or you can become a subscriber on Twitch. Feel free to. It's always appreciated. It wouldn't surprise me. By the way, also, a lot of that, it wouldn't surprise me if one of the things to do with veterans and what the US wants to talk about, they don't really like talking about mental health shit because it obviously makes people not want to sign up for the Israeli military and the US military. I guess the two are almost one and the same at this fucking point. So, yeah. Also, sorry, right, let's carry on with this. A weapons repair shed, a maintenance shed, and a drone hangar at the US base. A US Navy fuel support pier at Al Ahmadi, Kuwait's main oil export terminal, a US signals and communication center, an aircraft deployment site at Sheikh Issa base hit with what the IRGC described as large missile and drone barrages, a data and intelligence center that the Guard identified as Battleco, fighter jet shelters, a large parking ramp at Muafaq al-Salti Air Base, where the IRGC claimed 2 US fighter jets and 3 other aircraft were destroyed and several more damaged. Reported separately outside of Iran's announcement, sirens sound at Yanbu. By the way, Yanbu disaster, China buying oil. We are headed for disaster. I really just love this feature of just being headed for, just categorically being headed for disaster. What is there even to say if this continues to ramp up? And I don't see a way out, because I really don't, because they shouldn't have entered back into this. And I think that this is probably the most succinct analysis that I can try and provide for you. Sorry. I think that the most succinct analysis I can provide for you is... Oh. Sorry, I just got a bit of a distraction. I thought something really bad had happened, but it must be... Don't worry. It's something involving a really bad splinter, apparently. There's a splinter tragedy going on in my house. But yeah, the succinct analysis that I have to offer you right now is basically, I don't see de-escalation happening solely for the reason that I didn't see escalation happening. This did not make sense. There is no explanation as to why we've kind of got back here. So how the fuck do you expect it to de-escalate? How? Genuinely, how do you expect it to de-escalate? Yeah, the Israelis wouldn't agree to peace, so how could the Americans? They're one in the same. So also, Kuwait has said Iran struck a water desalination plant and power plant, damaging a key source of the country's drinking water. Kuwaiti petroleum facilities were damaged in the attack. Also, by the way, the thing is why would Iran agree to anything at this point? Why is Iran agreeing to absolutely anything? The Iranians just betrayed all of it. Sorry, excuse me. The Americans just betrayed everything that they promised the Iranians. They betrayed every single thing. Join a random nomad tribe in the Sahara. Till after the midterms. But the problem is La Boo-Boo. Marcus Ryan, thank you for the €2. I'm trying to copy what you said. Hold on. Let me see if that is gay. Thank you, as always, for supporting the channel. My man! Hold on. Oh, you can't make it say it in... Isfuath Liom Sagidur F. Chokiala. Thank you so much for the €2. Thank you for supporting the channel. But yeah, I guess Madman Theory is perhaps the only way. I just don't know. And I think that this is the worst possible outcome for the global economy, but then it holds up. I think there will be peace because of the material reality that America has no other option. At most, they can stall for a few weeks, hit a few power plants, and surrender in a month with even less leverage, or they can surrender and leave this week. But that's the whole issue. How do you get the Iranians back to negotiations? How do you get the Iranians back to negotiations now? Like, that's the major difference. What happens? How are we going back to negotiations? Also, UKMTO has apparently said it received a report of an incident involving a merchant vessel and military forces approaching 100 nautical miles east of Duqm, Oman. And there's someone saying that this happened yesterday, so maybe it did. Oh.
Welcome to the Burger Reich.
Samuel. Samuel. Wow. Thanks for becoming a member, my man. Thank you for supporting this wonderful endeavor that is the Chris K YouTube channel. It is always appreciated. Oh my fucking God. I have just... sorry, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you for becoming a member. Always appreciated. Sorry, I have received a comment which I dare not even read. It is one of the most insane comments I have ever received. And it once again makes me glad that one of the things I am not is a female content creator on the internet. It is absolutely just an insane comment. I'm not even going to humor it and talk about it. It's just disgusting. Iran will negotiate since they're not insane, just won't accept. But that's the thing. I do think the problem is you do have hardliners and reformists in Iran. What will happen? What will happen with the hardliners and reformists? The reformists, what is there going for the reformists? What is there actually going for the reformists in their argument of why don't we give negotiations a try? Ending, you know, the Iranian government is in a difficult position, but the things they want, they need. They cannot accept the previous status quo of like oil waivers that can just be cut by one president. They can't have that. That's not right. That won't work. I'm thinking about potentially enrolling for a master's in culture/arts, but I'm still doing research. Could you share your experience or could I ask you some questions? Yeah, you can. I mean, I loved doing a master's. It was a great experience. I don't know how your university system works. It was very expensive in Exeter, and I was lucky enough to be able to do one. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it expanded my thinking and my worldview. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And to anyone who can and has the ability, I would highly recommend it. I'm not sure what it's like over in Mexico price-wise. But yeah. Also, this is what Barry with the Ned is saying. Iran appears to be successfully hitting more of their targets in Jordan, Bahrain, and Kuwait than I recall them hitting during the initial phases of the war. No hangar in Jordan seems safe. I guess that's what Trump and CENTCOM calls degraded. You know, for all of this big talk that they were doing, for all of this big talk that the US was doing about what they got out of the ceasefire, once again, do not underestimate that the Iranians did similar things, that they also were wary about what was happening. Also, someone has just Askedits has just sent this over on Twitch. By the way, members can send links. Breaking, we just caught a wild trade. Representative Dan Crenshaw just filled a purchase of a triple leveraged oil ETF, USU. He sits on the House Energy Committee and the House Intelligence Committee. Why on earth is a congressman trading a leveraged oil ETF right now? USO. Okay, not USU. Did you ever check the Kincora boys' home in Belfast? Lord Mountbatten was involved in some paedophile ring. I don't know about that. No, I haven't checked that. That sounds interesting, Kieran. Thank you for letting me know. I will check into it. I'm just worried they get it. I mean, Robert Bob Rob, I do think you have to basically make this, basically think about it from the logic. There is no point in attacking them. There is no point in attacking Israel. Why would you do it? Why would you do it? Why would you attack them? Why would you attack them? That's the thing. You don't get any benefit. You don't threaten the global economy by attacking Israel. There's, of course, none of us like Israel and what the crimes that it's committed and would like to see them held to account for said crimes. But yeah, I know people have mentioned it before. I seem to remember people mentioning it. Also, here's Mensch's take on that tweet we just saw. True, the level of US air defense stockpile is critical. Trump may soon call Iran and politely ask them for a deal, while claiming Iran called and wanted a peace deal so bad. Or he will rush forward and set the region on fire before stockpiles are completely depleted. But that's a risky bet for Mr. Trump and the future of US bases in the region. Yeah, I'm sorry about the bells, you can hear it. Bing, 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 bong, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bong, bing, bong, bing, 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 bong. I mean, I would say it's either scorched earth or nothing. Scorched earth or what? By the way, I've just actually made the decision to report Sky News to the terror police, and I'll show you why.
We're bringing some breaking news coming into us from Iran. The supreme leader of the Iranian Republic, Mojtaba Khamenei, has issued a written message. It's been reported by the Reuters news agency following days of bombing by the United States as that ceasefire, that memorandum of understanding, has broken down. The supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, says that the US...
He's not shaking his head. Why is he not shaking his head?
President's signature on that memorandum of understanding signed between the two sides is worthless and invalid.
Why is he just reading this without shaking his head? That's prison for 1,000 years. Also, Matthew Petty has an interesting tweet here. Again, the issue here isn't that... Okay, wait. We don't have great options right now, but neither does Iran. The least bad option is blockade Iran, continue to attack its missile and drone capacities, and isolate Iran internationally. Get key Arabs. Key Arabs. Who are the key Arabs? DJ fucking Khaled. Who are the key Arabs? DJ Khaled and Saint Levant. Are they going to start pressuring them? Make its population unhappy with incessant war. I guess that is the only logic, Cassandra, for doing it. But right now, you just invite more strikes for no worthwhile thing. For no worthwhile thing. Of Iran's current logic is attack the global economy, basically. That's it. That's the play. That's the play by Iran right now. Yeah, no tutting, no head shaking, no finger wagging. I'm the key Arab. I'm going to go for Lemon Mint Cat's the key Arab. He's always chatting in here, so you know. But Bradley, you can also make yourself a key Arab if you begin with your pressure on China. We don't have... I'll actually look at this Frogan thing. That sounds bizarre. Okay, so sorry. This is Dennis Ross talking, so it's going to be shit. A hawk and a horrible guy. This might make sense along lines of US-led response to 1990 Iraq invasion of Kuwait. Had Trump not destroyed US soft power, but hard to see how you spend 18 months alienating allies and obliterating norms, and then expect global support for an ill-considered war you started. Again, the issue isn't that Trump is bad at threading the messaging. The needle... threading the messaging, the needle. The issue here is that unlike in 1990, the US, rather than its opponent, is the aggressor. It's not really a fact you can slickly hide either. Also, he just posted something funny about how Gulf state supporters, when you ask them whether hosting one side's military bases and shooting down the other side's aircraft makes you part of a war. I mean, it's true. Oh shit, DJ Khaled actually is the key Arab. He's always fucking talking about keys, isn't he? Sorry, so what's Frogan saying? Hold on, sorry, we'll just look at this. A light reprieve from the Iran stuff. Last night, I was targeted by a group of Zionist men. They repeatedly tried to hit me, and my friend's lip was busted up protecting me. Security had to intervene and remove them from the premises. Absolutely insane that this happened over us just existing. Fucking hell, that is a crazy situation. Poor Frogan, I hope she's doing okay. Doesn't surprise me, though, you know, you see these videos of extremist Zionists. Oh, Cassandra, sorry, you accidentally committed the evil crime of using a fucking full stop. And Streamlabs does not like full stops. We need to call up the key Arabs right now. We the best music. DJ Khaled on his trip to Saudi Arabia on his trip to China will save us from everything. Also, US oil is declining from record high. It's actually halved. Fucking hell. I guess this is the thing. The US actually still needs to import oil. Like, the US uses so much that they can't produce enough, right? My assumption at this point. So this is Ali Ahmadi talking here. Sorry, 1 second. I'm just going to cough. So this is Ali Ahmadi's take. My assumption at this point is that there will be a US land attack in some form, either airborne assault on a Persian Gulf island from Kuwait, UAE, proxy Kurds from the west, etc., or combo thereof. I don't think that it will be that. It would be the first time the US military has attempted an amphibious airborne invasion without meaningful fire suppression since the Korean War, Incheon 1950. The fuck happened back then in Incheon 1950? Donald Trump, I voted for you. This is the benefit of the Twitch membership. Unlimited link attacks. Donald Trump, I voted for you and I love you, but we are not oil and gas independent. We are having a hard time getting diesel fuel for the shrimp boats in Alabama. Guys, the shrimp boats in Alabama are suffering. You need to consider what is happening with the shrimp boats. I bet some of you didn't think about that. This is so important to hear. Let's see what Majid Hosseini is doing and saying. Retweeting. 50 people have been killed in Iran. There's a fake Archie account. I'm just basically looking at what's happening. Jesus Christ. No, I was thinking of oyster farms. Yeah, fuck. Plattner after his disaster. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. By the way, as well, this is Javier Blas, who's Bloomberg, like, energy guy, saying the shrimp boats in Alabama are tired. How come nobody is talking about... This is what the media doesn't want you to talk about. The shrimp boats over in Alabama that works on those shrimp boats. It's a terrible job. Is it actually? I mean, it looks kind of nice from Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump went shrimping on his damn boat and he did very well out of it. Kuwait state-owned oil company says one of the vital sites in the oil sector was attacked by Iran, resulting in significant material losses. Jesus Christ. I also think it is worth, like, Al Jazeera have this great breakdown of how much the water comes from desalination plants, which was released on the 12th of March. I guess kind of when it was, first being considered that this could be an issue. And now it's escalated to just a terrible, terrible, terrible issue. Chris, you're brave for reporting about the shrimp boats in Alabama. Thank you. Is Javier Blas an idiot? Why is he an idiot? Posture check. Fuck. Yeah, I gotta check my posture. Ooh. I'll do a stretch. Is there someone in here called Ninhepto and Ninhotep, or have I just always been calling Ninhepto Ninhotep? If you listen to the studio... Oh, wait. That was a specific comment to someone. Oh, okay. First they came for the shrimp boats, but I did not speak out because I'm allergic. Shout out my fellow allergic compatriot, my national friend of allergies. Okay, so the Gulf has no permanent rivers. Wow. 7.2 trillion litres come from desalination. Here we go. Oh, wait, where is it? Okay, so Gulf states reliance on desalination. So, groundwater in Saudi Arabia is kind of fine. Saudi Arabia gets, 79%. Treated wastewater isn't even a factor for them. They get some rainfall, and then they have 18%. Oman, kind of fine as well. Then you have the UAE. 41% is desalinated water, rainfall water. But I think that the major thing is all of this stuff that is desalinated is what's used for drinking, right? So this is what it's for, right? That's what you desalinate water for. And then you can use groundwater and treated rainfall for agriculture. Is that right? But then anyway, Kuwait gets 47% of its water from desalinated. And the reason I assume it must be such a high percentage is because this kind of water, Kuwait's water, 90% is them drinking, 90% of their water that they drink is desalinated. Bahrain gets 59% of its water from desalination and Qatar 61%. Can you see the problem of why I was like, yeah, I don't see why Trump would ever go back to this war when it was pretty evident that they were never going to be able to succeed? If you can't succeed, what's the point of this? And I have no idea if desalinated water tastes weird. Hold on, I have an idea. Give me a second. Fox News is giving us live updates. Desalinated water review. There's no one actually reviewing desalinated water, which I'm kind of surprised about. Can we get a reporter on the ground to send a video to Discord who has access to desalinated water to send it to the Discord to show us? Is that the only country with no permanent rivers? Oh my god. 99% of Qatar's drinking water is from desalination. For drinking, Bahrain is 90%. Kuwait is 90% as well. Oh my god. Just what happens? You can't live in these places. You cannot live in these places. It tastes the same. Oh, okay. Okay, fine. So you're not doing reviews. Right, we're going to have Fox News keeping us updated with what's going on. Oh, wait, the thing causing the thick smoke was the attack on a drop shipping place, on a retail warehouse, sorry.
This is a Fox News alert. Iran spending the morning attacking its Gulf neighbors. Kuwait intercepting incoming Iranian drones, reporting damage at key civilian infrastructure, including an oil refinery and water desalination plant. And in Bahrain, sirens sounding this morning after multiple Iranian drones were shot down. The Gulf nation says the attacks were targeting...
By the way, historically, these nations weren't even, fully in America's pockets. There was pushback, even from Sheikh Zayed. the previous Sheikh Zayed ruler of Qatar, he pushed back and didn't actually want to have US bases on his land, and now they do, and look at the consequences of it.
Civilians. And Jordan's armed forces said they intercepted 10 Iranian missiles this morning, as well as 4 unmanned drones in the last 24 hours. This new round of aggression by the regime comes after U.S. forces conducted its 7th straight night.
This new round of aggression by the regime comes after the U.S. restarted major strikes. Thank you, Fox News.
Of attacks on Iran, hitting key bridges, underground weapons storage facilities, and surveillance sites. And a final deal with the regime still in limbo after Iran's deputy foreign minister says Tehran is suspending the commitments it agreed to in the memorandum of understanding. Retired 4-star general and a Fox News strategic analyst, Jack Keane, joins me now.
Oh my God, he's back. They've got the ghoul back. They've summoned him up. He looks like a Draugr from Skyrim. They've been waking this poor little, is it a Draugr or a Draugr? Whichever it is, they've been waking this guy up over and over again, the poor bastard.
With analysis, General Keane, the Wall Street Journal reported earlier in the week that President Trump was weighing escalation. That could be an attack on Pickaxe Mountain, could be something with the Strait of Hormuz. Do you think that it is escalated, and what do you think that action looks like?
Yeah, well, certainly. I mean, what actually happened here, we know we signed a memorandum of understanding, both presidents, Iranian and American, on June the 17th. And the only agreement that was in that memorandum of understanding was open the Straits of Hormuz. We remove our blockade, Iran removes any interference or control. And everything else was a promise of 60 days of negotiations to solve all the tough issues. Within days of signing that agreement, Iran violated the agreement and began to continue to control the Straits of Hormuz. As a result of that, President Trump was not going to stand for that.
The major problem is what even is memorandum of understanding in full? Here we go. This is it. Okay, upon the signing of this MOU, the Islamic Republic of Iran will make arrangements using its best efforts for the safe passage of commercial vessels with no charge for 60 days only from the Persian Gulf to the Sea of Oman and vice versa. The traffic of commercial vessels will immediately start, and considering the need for removing the technical and military obstacles demining by the Islamic Republic and demining by the Islamic Republic of Iran will be instated within 30 days. The Islamic Republic will conduct dialogue with the Sultanate of Oman to define the future administration and maritime services in the Strait of Hormuz in discussion with the other Persian Gulf littoral states in line with the applicable international law and sovereign rights of the coastal states of Hormuz. Yeah, I kind of see the issue. It's 60 days to open. Well, this is the other thing. Listen to how loosely worded this is. We'll make arrangements using its best efforts. What does that mean? What do these words mean? What does any of these words mean? And anyone know? And then you just have this thing of like, the most important thing is that the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Lebanon will be respected. That wasn't fucking respected at all.
He understands that's international waterways. Iran cannot make a claim to it. And we are where we are as a result of it. We're 7 days into an operation to take control of the Straits of Hormuz. It is condition-based, based on the enemy and what we're achieving in terms of our goals, and achieving that will determine how long it takes to do that. Planning time is about 2 weeks, but as I said, it's based on the conditions. And what are we doing? We're denying them the ability to fire into the Straits by taking control of the missiles, drones.
She doesn't just have a Mar-a-Lago face. She's got a lot of plastic surgery and her face doesn't move in any normal way. She looks like, I don't even know, a character, just incredible. I don't know what's going on here. And he looks even stranger, which is quite the competition.
And fast boats.
Like, her face doesn't move.
In the immediate area, logistical support, the command and control, we're isolating that area. That's why we're blowing up bridges. And we're also taking away their capability to retaliate, which you described very accurately. Retaliate against what? Against the Gulf, countries in the region, against U.S. bases in the region. And we have to take that capability down to be effective here. And that's ballistic missiles and their launchers and also drones. And then the third thing that Iran has the option of doing here is obviously expanding this to the Bab al-Mandab Strait.
Come on, you're a fucking general. You're a fucking general of the US and former general. What did he even just say?
Obviously expanding it, that Iran has the option of doing here, is obviously expanding this to the Bab al-Mandab Strait.
Bab al-Mandab?
Bringing the Houthis into it and also attacking Israel. I don't believe it.
Oblivion NPC meets Skyrim Draugr.
They will do the latter because Israel will come back at them in a very fierce way. But that is what is in front of us. I think the president's made the right call here. He also realized that negotiating with them, even though the diplomats are supposed to be moderates and they're dealing with hardliners who are running the regime, the truth is there is one regime here. The diplomats through multiple presidents have always expressed a moderate
Baba Mabdani, the mayor of New York.
role. We desired to coexist with the United States of America.
It's also not even like one of the more complex things to say. It's just Bab al-Mandeb, isn't it?
So listen, we're on a pathway here. It's the right path to shut these guys down from taking control of the Straits of Hormuz.
General Keane, let me ask you about this. We have not deployed all capabilities that we have to open the strait, is what General McKenzie said. He said it would require putting warships into narrow waters. The U.S. Navy doesn't love to do that, but they're very good at it. Is there more we could do to secure Hormuz?
No.
God, imagine if Khamenei's like fucking that tweet he posted. Do you remember before Khamenei died and it was like all of the sort of gearing up to the Iran, the assault on Iran. And there was just that fucking moment where there was like, you know, there was that fucking moment where Khamenei posted that fucking image of a tanker at the bottom of like the bottom of the sea and had something to say in relation to that. His dreams and wishes and visions might come true.
We're doing just about everything. We're not at a phase yet where we need to escort ships through the Straits of Hormuz. We have to get rid of the capability.
His nose is big. It looks like it's been stung by a bee.
There that can interfere with that kind of shipping and also interfere with U.S. naval ships. That would be a phase to come later, what General McKenzie is talking about here. And listen, so our audience understands what is all the fuss about here. The Straits of Hormuz is Iran's #1 strategic asset. It used to be nuclear weapons, but their nuclear enterprise is buried under a...
They didn't have nuclear weapons. And by the way, the Strait of Hormuz has always been there.
Mountain of rubble. Their #1 strategic asset is this. Why? Because it
Oh dear, that might be a crash.
Influences the other Gulf states. They use it as leverage. And look at what it did. On February 28th, we went to war. On March the 2nd, they shut down the Straits of Hormuz, and it immediately began to have an effect, not just on the region, but the world economy. It exceeded their expectations in terms of what the outcome was. That is why they are absolutely trying to maintain control of this, and they're willing to fight to maintain that control. That is really what has taken place here.
General Jack Keane, always appreciate your expertise. Thank you so much for your time this Saturday.
His expertise are not really great. I'm gonna say it. I forgot there was a CNN video that I wanted to watch as well. Hold on. They were talking about the first time using sea drones and why that's exciting. The US showing you new weapons to kill innocent people, I'm sure. Do you know how much... God, sorry, just whenever you see that, the cost of fighting drones... Patriot 3 to 4 million. Shahed 136 20,000
million.
Brett, you know, you heard Trump tonight threaten to knock out all of Iran's bridges and power plants. By the way, this is a threat that he's made before, right? Back when he was talking about wiping a civilization off the map. In that era of this rhetoric, he had made specific threats against the bridges and power plants. But now here we are again with this sort of a threat. What's your reaction to it now?
I think Kevin just said casting about. I think that's a pretty good way to put it. Both the United States and Iran, I think you just see casting about on both sides. I think the problem with that threat is problematic on its face, but also I'm not sure the Iranians take it seriously.
Some of Chris's work. Sorry, I just had a fear for a second that I was using the wrong microphone. I was like, did no one tell me? But it's fine. I don't believe in plate tectonics, yes.
But if they do take it seriously, Aaron, again, it is the Revolutionary Guard that is in charge in Tehran, and they will strike infrastructure in the Gulf. I mean, that is basically what they said. I think they've
also, why can't they just say Tehran?
Proven the demonstrated willingness and capacity to do that. So then you're in a war targeting each other's civilian infrastructure, and that can really damage the global economy. That's the problem of one of many problems here.
Yeah, and as we all remember, right, when desalination plants were suddenly on the table, right, when that's sort of what brought this whole thing to a halt.
Oh shit! CENTCOM says 2 U.S. service members were killed in action in Jordan on the July 17th, while U.S. partner forces defended against Iranian ballistic missiles and drone attacks. 1 service member remains missing. 4 others were hospitalized and later discharged. I'm guessing they're not counting partner forces because unless you're an American citizen, your life does not matter. 2 U.S. service members were killed. Oh my goodness. Khan News is reporting as well. The US is sending fighter jets to the Middle East. F-16 squadron already landed in Jordan. More forces on the way. Fucking hell. Jesus fucking Christ. Yep, looks like war is coming back.
That would be a global economic catastrophe with an incredible loss of civilian life. General Kimmett, Trump was asked tonight about the possibility of a ground campaign, right? So once again, bridges and power plants being threatened, but also ground troops. Here's the exchange.
Are you ruling out a ground campaign in a limited capacity?
I don't want to say that either, but I would say no if I thought it was appropriate. I'd say sometimes you need a ground campaign, but we have other people that will do the ground campaign for us.
Okay, General, I have many questions from this, but I guess let's just go with 2 of them. First of all, what would a ground campaign at this point for the U.S. actually mean?
Oh, Mr. Fish, it's always, you are probably the greatest carrier of Noam Hamburg's flame. Noam Hamburger is gone. Lindsey Graham is gone. The world that you grew up in is gone. But you still remember it and carry that damn fucking flame. Also, by the way, I don't think the Kurds can do it because I don't think Erdogan will. Do you honestly think that Erdogan is going to be like... Trump fucking loves Erdogan as well and has way too much respect for him to do this. Like, he regularly talks about how much he loves Erdogan and wants to bang him. But Erdogan doesn't like the Kurds, in case you didn't know. The idea that Erdogan is just going to sit idly by whilst the US sets like a, basically just allows a Kurdish military force to take over Iran. Okay, and also, by the way, the consequences that would have for Iraqi Kurdistan are awful. That's why it didn't happen previously. It won't happen again. And Baluchistan don't know enough about, I will say. But I don't know if the Baluch have enough. But even then, it's so hard to do a revolution. Erdogan. I think it won't be much. The F-16 is a SEAD specialty squadron which landed at the base in Jordan that was heavily hit. Not sure why they needed. I think that the major thing, Mr. Mandela effect, and the reason I'm speaking differently today is because what's the point in speaking like being so fucking careful? Because I was pretty confident this wouldn't restart, and you look at this situation now. It's just fucking insane.
Right, we're now in month 5. And when he says someone's going to do it for us, I mean, who is that? Are we back to the Kurds again?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to make a comment about bridges and infrastructure. In fact, I think it's important to note that bridges and infrastructure that are primarily being used to support military forces are legitimate military targets. I didn't hear anything about civilian infrastructure. I didn't hear anything about civilian bridges. So let's hope we're going to stay focused on the military targets. Ground campaign, certainly.
Civilian, right, yeah. IRGC bridges. I mean, how often do Kurds want to walk into the same trap being used for Western interests and then dumped afterwards? Curbed by the West, it's laughable. When do they ever learn? I don't think that that's like... I think that the problem is like the experience of being... Like, Kurdish people were straight up just genocided by the... but they were straight up just genocided by, by Saddam Hussein. And so I think this thing of like, oh, why do they work with them? A lot of it is just this thing of like, they risk serious violence, especially at the hands of like someone like the Islamic State and stuff. But yeah, I don't think they are going to end up working with the, I don't think they're going to end up working with the US government. I don't think they will. I mean, they already kind of do, but I don't think they're going to. But yeah, the problem with Kurds is mostly socialist. I doubt they'd actually want to go fight. Most of them... The thing about the Kurds is as well in Iran, the Kurdish experience in Iran is like really bad. Like the Kurdish experience, go and look up what's happening to the Kurdish region in Iran. It's bad. Like it's intentionally underdeveloped by the Islamic Republic. Kurds have been oppressed for a very long time. They just kind of want a lot of Kurdish people just want autonomy and the ability to live their lives as Kurdish people, free from harassment and oppression. And it is it's an incredibly reasonable demand. And I think that unfortunately the US taps into that and is like, yeah, in the same way that, legitimate grievances during the Syrian civil war, what did those turn into when weapons flooded and who they chose to arm?
Certainly, I don't think the president is talking about attacking into Tehran. But a ground campaign could certainly be something like going into Kashmir. It could be going into Karg Island. I certainly hope we don't do that. I think they're better all.
Sorry, Chelsea have just signed, apparently, Morgan Rogers for £117 million. What? Sorry, that's off topic for anyone who's interested in football, but according to the New York Times and David Ornstein at The Athletic, they've just spent £117 million on Morgan Rogers.
Alternatives. But it's also important to note that what the president was doing was not ruling in, he was just not ruling out ground forces to keep his options open.
Right. I mean, and in a sense, I guess that's back to casting about, Brett, right? Keeping everything on the table. I want to play for you, Brett, some of what Trump said about this issue with the toll, right? Because yesterday, that really stunned the world, right? After the U.S. had said it's international waters, you can never do it, it's against all international law. Rubio has been completely clear on this issue. Then suddenly Trump comes out and says he's going to charge every ship a 20% fee.
That's the thing. The Kurdish rebel thing is just nonsense. That Kurds will take over Iran is just nonsense. It's not true. It would also be a massive problem because most of the fucking like Iranian diasporic nationalists, they don't give a shit about Kurds. They don't give a shit. They fucking hate Kurds. Like Alika Labon has tweeted problematic things about the Kurds, if I remember correctly. And like, you meet a lot of people who just don't like Kurds because Kurds are like an other in a lot of MENA societies, and they're treated as another, and it sucks.
And now he's changed his mind. Here's part of why he said he's doing that.
I put it out yesterday. I thought it was good. I was called by different people, different countries, kings and emirs and all of the people that we all know and we all love, and they've been very strong partners. And they said, we'd love to do it a different way.
So, Brett, what do you think happened to make the president, in less than 24 hours, reverse course on something as specific and major as a 20% toll on every ship?
Because he has dementia and he doesn't know what he's saying, and the people who advise him are literally some of the dumbest people in the world who are appointed for loyalism.
Going through the strait, and the U.S. taking over the strait and providing all the security so those ships could transit.
Well, I'd say two things. I think the one thing, all the Gulf states, including like Oman that works a little closely with Iran, they are totally opposed to Iran's claim of sovereignty over the strait and Iran's claim that they will charge a fee. So the Gulf is united kind of with us against that. So then for the president to come out and say, actually, we're going to protect it and we'll charge an even higher fee was completely contradictory and counterproductive to everything we're trying to do. I'd secondly say, Aaron, that kind of that'd be a good problem to have if we were able to guard the strait and protect shipping. The issue here is that Iran.
I think it's definitely dementia, but I also think it's incompetence and loyalism. What the major thing that you need, or what the major thing that you need to ascend in the Trump administration and go up, is basically that you need, you basically have to just swear undying loyalty to Donald Trump.
Iran is using the kind of ancient advantage of terrain and the modern advantage of drone warfare. And these drones can be fired from 1,000 kilometers away, even farther away.
By the way, it's so interesting to hear more balanced analysis. And I know CNN is not perfect, and I'm sure, but listening to someone talking about how this is impossible to do because these drones can be fired from very far away. These drones can hit in Israel. These drones can hit across the Gulf. How do you expect to permanently stop Iran from doing it? They'll just do it from further in. They'll just do it from further inside of Iran. The coast is so big in Iran. The fact that you have people who are really, really trying to convince you that just a bit more bombing, guys, will fix things is just, it's just outrageous.
Hit a slow-moving tanker, and that is what they're doing to hold the strait hostage. It is very hard to stop. I dealt with this in the last White House in the Red Sea when the Houthis, an Iranian proxy group, was targeting ships in the Red Sea. We had a naval coalition. It's very difficult to stop. So I'd like to know how we're going to be the guardian of the strait. I think that would be great if we could do it, but it's a very difficult equation, as General Kimmett, I think, knows extremely well.
And General Kimmett, the Iranian army is also saying they're going to respond, okay? They've already claimed, again, I'm not sure what of this has been true, but they've obviously shown an ability to do real damage to U.S. bases, U.S. missile interceptors and aircraft. They now say they struck a U.S. base in Jordan where F-18 fighter jets are stationed, and that they're going to continue doing this until final victory is achieved. General, it can almost sound like a tit for tat until suddenly people die. I mean, how concerned are you tonight, given where this is at this moment, about the risks to the tens of thousands of U.S. troops that are in the Middle East now?
Well, by the way, if it can happen to 2 troops, if you continue this this kind of I don't know, game of chicken, I wouldn't even call it brinksmanship. This, if you continue this game of chicken, what happens? What happens? What happens if the Iranians manage to kill, 100 US troops in a strike? The Americans still cry over the Beirut barracks bombing. What happens then?
Well, I think both Brett and I are concerned about that significantly because, again, all we need is one mistake.
Escalation ladder.
Made by an air defense artilleryman who misses a missile coming in. I mean, we saw that in Al-Assad inside of Iraq, where we luckily did not lose a significant number of troops. But when you have a large concentration of them, as we do in Kuwait, Al-Udeid in Qatar, and some of the other bases in UAE, that could certainly happen. Listen, I think it's important to go back to Brett's comment. It is clear that if the United States is the unilateral protector of the Gulf, of the Strait of Hormuz, that will not work. The fact is we are belligerent in this conflict, and for us to try to control it is a war situation. Either they have it or we don't. But as we did with the counter-piracy coalition, and we did in the tanker war in 1981 to 1988, we used non-belligerence in that operation. This is a great opportunity for the British, the French, the Germans to come in and run a maritime escort operation through the Strait of Hormuz. It tells the Iranians you have a choice. You can either let these people take the...
By the way, sorry, I actually can't stop thinking about those 2 American soldiers that got killed. And I think that the reason I can't stop thinking about those 2 American soldiers getting killed is because CENTCOM was saying a few hours ago that no people had been killed.
Commercial traffic through, or you can fire on them. And at this point, you now have a war with Germany, the United Kingdom and France. Now, I think we all understand why the Allies have not been rushing to our assistance in this, but there are options other than a unilateral operation.
Targeted by the U.S. were en routes.
Oh, they've brought the guy from the film, the horror film that I mentioned that involves a certain legged animal.
Connected to the city of Bandar Abbas, which is home to an Iranian military naval base, as you well know. What does that signal to you about the U.S. strategy that's unfolding right now?
Two things. Well, first, it is going to attempt to cut off, to kill the assets that could be used to close the Strait of Hormuz. I've been to Bandar Abbas before the revolution.
Oh, we heard this yesterday. I don't need to hear this again from the creepy-looking guy. Good luck creating a coalition. Yeah, it's almost as if it was a really bad idea to continually try and humiliate every possible ally, mock them, and just treat them like shit. Although, to be honest, it's like, yeah. In fact, someone else pointed this out. Iranian forces claim they attacked the Al-Tanf garrison. No US troops in the region have recently been killed or okay, that was before, but yeah. The fact that CENTCOM is just like nothing is happening and then it's just like, yeah, okay, they've died. Oh, Christ. Oh. Trust the US because it's a stupid 100%. What is the point in getting involved? As per 3 days ago, it was unconfirmed at the time. Nah. You said that, I believe in 3 days ago, it was in Kuwait that they claimed this was a strike on Jordan last night. Yeah. But Hegseth is also saying some dumbass shit. Hegseth says the US used the pause in attacks to identify Iranian vulnerabilities. Our ability to see, our ability to get into networks has only been vastly improved over time. Iranian hardliners opposed the MOU because they saw it as a tactical pause by the US rather than a path to peace. Their position is likely to strengthen. Whilst that's definitely true and the US government should not be openly admitting shit like that, the thing that they should actually understand is that the Iranians can do that too. Do you really think that the we eliminated 2 future Graham Plattners? I mean, the state of Maine is probably quite happy. But I don't think the EU will end up getting involved or directly, no more than I think it'll be no more than it was recently. No more than it was recently, yeah. How there's, they've always been involved. The attacks came from our bases, so yeah. It's just is missing as a result. The strikes were on Friday, not 3 days ago. Yeah, apparently hitting. Jesus. You just wonder where this goes. All right, guys. On that note, I'm probably going to have to end the stream for now. Thank you all for watching, everyone who commented, liked, shared, became a member, supported the channel, commented, and all of this shit. Thank you so much for everything, as always, and especially people who, became members, donated. It's always greatly appreciated. I love doing this, and it's always appreciated that, so many of you are so glad to and happy to support me. It's incredibly kind. But I hope that you have a lovely rest of the day. I probably won't be live tomorrow. I'm doing some stuff, and then we'll see, unless there are any really major escalations. But I'll keep situation monitoring, and I'll be editing my video about clavicular, which should be out by the end of next week at the latest. So yeah, I thank you all, and I'll see you soon. Have a lovely rest of the day.